prepared by growing my own potatoes for sustenance. So it's going to be good.
Somebody tell me those sold calls I sold yesterday are going to be okay.
Yeah, sure, they're gonna be okay. You're safe. It'll be good, buddy.
Well, I don't know. How far out did you sell them?
They were leaps, so they were going all the way to January 2024. At the money, though. They were at the money. But I sold them.
Yeah, I'm hoping this Green Day is going to allow me to exit out of my retarded position on Blue Apron. I had bought some calls because there was a lot of talk about it, and my sentiment bot was picking up that a lot of people were trying to pump the stock, like a lot. So I was like, man, they might actually succeed in pumping this thing. So I bought a bunch of calls. Market dipped yesterday, doubled down on the number of calls, and now I just own way too many calls on what is functionally a penny stock, and I need to get out of these.
Last time I sold calls was at the bottom of the rally. And then I was negative 50K. And now I'm selling again. Not good. It's not a good habit.
Wait, you're selling calls at prices that would be losers if exercised?
The previous position, which I'm still back holding, those were out of the money leaps. And that was at the bottom of the huge rally that we had a couple months ago. And I held them. The ones I sold yesterday were at the money leaps again. So I can't wait. And they're they're from the indexes, so those are XSP calls and the SPX calls. So can't wait till 9:30 so I can get the real value of them. Because they don't have pre-trading hours.
Are these covered calls?
No, these are naked.
Oh no. My man went full degenerate.
Did you at least like delta hedge at all? Or anything?
The ones yesterday I delta hedged, the ones that I'm still back holding as like a 8K loss, no, that's naked.
At least he didn't say, let me Google that. Like, let me Google what delta hedging is. So at least you got that going for you, buddy. It's better than some people here.
Well, that's an improvement for me. I'm slowly learning. Slowly learning while losing a lot of money.
GDP numbers are out. I don't know if you guys mentioned it yet.
Yeah, I saw that. That's not good.
2.9%.
Yeah, I need the US to crash, please, by in 6 months.
So a little bit cooler than so a little bit cooler than the high end estimates, but still hotter than the low end estimates. What do we think, guys? Think we're in for a reversal?
At this point, we might just need a nuclear attack or something here in New York or something.
It's felt like first move has always been wrong for the last, I don't know, 2-3 months. Not always, but like 80% of the time. So I'm expecting a small reversal. No really basis in fact, other than just my gut.
I mean, we all know, regardless of movements, it's just going to end sideways because that's tradition, right?
Okay. Bitcoin is trending up a little bit after that news. Earlier, Bitcoin was trending down this morning, but after the GDP release, it looks like it's trending up a little bit right now.
So, yeah, with GDP as solid as it looks and unemployment as low as it is, I wouldn't expect anything to change today or within the next maybe 3 days. But between, let's see, like January 31st and February the 3rd, so that whole next week, those 5 days, should be about like 70% of the S&P 500's market cap reporting. So that's going to be a big day. That's going to be like a big week. So volatility should be fucking crazy next week. Or at least that's what I'm hoping. So maybe doing some straddles and just getting out whenever it starts bouncing around. So like maybe at the money straddle on the S&P, like with SPY.
First time speaker here. Wars are fluffy. Big on North Gunrup today. Earnings were 17% over their expectations they released this morning. Stock's doing great pre-market. I'm in long term, but I've got a bunch of options in for today as well, going on the 27th and the February 10th.
That was Northrop Grumman?
Yes, ticker NOC.
Roger, thank you.
Thoughts on Tesla, gentlemen?
I'm holding some Tesla. So, what are you guys' thoughts on that one?
I listened to the presentation yesterday evening to the shareholder or the report on their results. Quick summary. Tesla, Elon said that Tesla has the best gross margins in the automobile industry by far. All their numbers that they reported were solid. They're forecasting production of 1.8 million units in 2023, but he said that they have a capacity to actually do 2 million units if they don't face any strong headwinds from uncontrollable items like plagues and pandemics and foreign wars or any supply chain issues related to those. So if things go rather smoothly in 2023, they said they can deliver up to 2 million units. The other thing he said is that apparently he didn't mention what they were, but he said they have some exciting things in the product pipeline from Tesla. He also referred to, he made some comments about their humanoid robots as well as the cars, referring to cars as robots on wheels. And apparently they use some of the same software technology between the humanoid robots and the cars with their full self-driving stuff. He also mentioned that all of the hardware version 3 platforms that are out right now have the ability to support the full self-driving software, which is released in 2 flavors. There's like an entry-level version or a basic version and a more advanced version of it. And he said that anyone, like any of those, those are not free upgrades, by the way. You have to pay for them. So anyone that purchases those, it translates into a pure profit for Tesla. So because they don't incur any costs in pushing that out to the fleet of vehicles that they have out there. He also talked about any new cars they're coming out with are going to be based on the I can't remember exactly what the numbers were, but it was like 486 or 4860 platform that they have for the batteries, a higher density battery technology. One of the analysts asked him who does Tesla envision as their biggest competitor in 5 years. Elon's response was none of the legacy car manufacturers fit that role. He expects their competition to come from China, saying flat out that he believes that the Chinese EV companies are working harder and smarter, and he sees the competition coming from there rather than any of the legacy U.S. manufacturers. What else? I mean, all their financials, were solid, and that's about it.
So calls on Neo.
Yeah, Neo XPEV. What's that? Boyd? Isn't that? What's the other one? BYD or something like that.
Yeah, BYD.
BYOD.
BYOD. Yeah. So yeah, he sees the competition coming from there. And I'm neither a Tesla or an Elon fanboy, but you got to respect their numbers. They do have solid numbers, and their financial. I mean, their performance is pretty solid.
I guess he didn't mention Lucid in that at all. I like Lucid. I love their cars, but they got issues.
Well, Lucid. Yeah. I mean, Lucid. I don't even think they're in the same category. I mean, Tesla has solar, they have cars, they have robots, they've got other products, they've got semis. I mean, there's and they have buku bucks. Their cash flow, their free cash flow increase. They have the best gross margins in the industry. Lucid's going to have to find a couple of more Saudi Arabias for investors if they want to catch up.
Yeah, they're way behind on production capacity.
No, I'm looking at it, and it looks like things like both their free cash flow and their margins for Tesla have decreased, though, year over year.
They, like I said,
Because this is the lowest margin that they've had in 5 years, isn't it?
and he said it's the best they're still the best in the industry. And the other thing that he mentioned that was interesting is that they recently announced price decreases of their products, which makes them eligible for the government subsidies. But since they've done those price decreases, he said because of the strength of the demand coming in that they're seeing in January, they've actually slightly increased the price of some of their products. So, and he said that they're looking at a lot of the issues that they had with the margins were, not to borrow Janet Yellen's words, but they were transient, related to supply chain issues during the pandemic and the war stuff. And he said that in addition to those supply chain issues being mitigated going forward, they also have some engineering work that they can do to increase the margins on the product, so they can change up how they manufacture the parts that they use and find margin that way. So they're aware of what the headwinds are, and it sounded like they're prepared to deal with them and produce 1.8 million units to 2 million units this year.
Easily, this is the point where like trust comes in, and I don't necessarily trust Elon Musk, to be honest. And here's the deal: like, he can tell you that there's not going to be problems. What I think as well is he's like, oh yeah, you're not going to have problems with the pandemic and the war anymore, both of which are still kind of ongoing issues. And as far as I can tell, they haven't really fully resolved the supply chain issues that we're having. So I think it's a kind of like take it with a grain of salt. Like, yeah, we'll hit these numbers if none of these things that are happening currently continue happening, even though they are.
Well, you might not be able to trust Musk completely, but you can kind of trust the reaction that people have to his words, you know? So it's like,
dude,
whether you can trust what he says or not, the way people react to it is a different thing.
I trust people
Now,
even less than I trust
just-
Elon Musk.
I agree.
Just another point I'd like to bring up, guys. Isn't his first loan payment due? He's got an interest payment of $1.8 billion due this Friday. So in my mind, that's 1.8 billion reasons for him to pump the stock price if he needs to sell shares to cover that payment.
Well, but he said he's not going to sell shares for 2 years. Scald.
Wasn't there a report that he's thinking about fundraising $3 billion to pay for that debt? I mean, it's a band-aid on the problem, but I get it.
What is he going to do? Have a bake sale? What the hell is that? Fundraise $3 billion? What? I mean,
he's thinking about it.
No, he's going to sell stock. He's going to dunk on you guys. I mean, like, that's fundraise $3 billion. He's going to do a Kickstarter. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Skull, don't rain on my parade, man. Like, we just came out of the weeds, man. I'm feeling great.
Hey, if the University of Tennessee can raise $160,000 for a goalpost, surely the richest man can use a Kickstarter for $3 billion of loan interest.
Yeah, I mean, Twitter, the landlord of Twitter is already suing him because he just, as one of his cost-cutting measures, he stopped paying rent, which, I mean, bold strategy. That's what makes him an innovative leader, is that kind of outside-the-box thinking. Like, hey, I'm just not going to pay rent anymore and see what happens. But
he can evict me.
Right. I mean, that's what he's doing.
Is he trying to say that they're the eviction moratorium? I think that they've extended in New York. Is he going to try to say that that applies to him too?
I don't know the detail. I don't know like why he's not paying it. I just know the fact is he hasn't paid rent in December, or January, or actually November, December, or January, and the rent is $3.1 million a month on Twitter's headquarters, and he's not paid it for the last 3 months. They went to a bank that had a letter of credit open. They had a letter of credit open, so they were able to put it on Twitter's tab for like the first month, but the next 2 months are actually owed directly to the landlord that's leasing that building to him. So,
Does anybody know the consequence of not paying that rent? Does the landlord sue for both attorney fees and the missed rent? And does Twitter's, I don't know, credit rating goes down? Doesn't anybody know the consequences exactly on what the landlord can do?
I mean, the consequence is being evicted. That's the biggest consequence.
Right, but that takes a long time through. Doesn't it take a long time?
Not as long as you might think.
Yeah, but I think we're overreaching here. With all due respect to everyone's opinion, at the end of the day, he's got friends in high places that are in the same places as him. He's in a high place, right? People could easily buy that debt, roll it over, et cetera, et cetera. It's very speculative. But it's not to disregard any payment due on Friday or the fact that he might be pumping to get some collateral for that payment. But it's really pure speculation at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think it's worth kind of questioning that statement that their biggest competition is coming from China as well. I mean, obviously, it's just a series of bullish suggestions by Elon right there. But I mean, that's kind of ridiculous, right? Like, no one's ordering a Neo. And meanwhile, the F-150 Lightning is going to sell. I mean, anecdotally, I know people selling their Tesla because they're just liberals who are uncomfortable with Elon. That's probably not a massive demographic, but he definitely has competition.
Yeah, but just to clarify, if I may say real fast, Scald, I know Americans, as an American myself, we love to think that, well, Tesla's only sold in America, but it is an international brand. They are sold in Europe, they are sold in China, they are sold in Japan and different parts of Asia. Obviously, the real play that we should be looking at is how many countries want to create their own EV and take out Tesla at their legs, really, at the end of the day. I think that's the real underlying thing we should be looking at, because that's really what it's going to come down to.
I gotta imagine, just in America, all the big players got to have their sights on Tesla, right? Ford and GM and everyone, because they're all going to be moving into that EV market as the time horizon approaches, when fossil fuels eventually get more and more phased out.
I think they're all a lot further into that EV market already than people give them credit for. U.S. manufacturers, large manufacturers, have had a history of hiding their research for years and then releasing a batch of really, really strong updates all at once. I mean, the fact that when you look at the Ford F-150 Lightning and what a big leap that was for Ford into the EV market, you have to realize that was decades of research that went into that. And the thing was, unlike Musk, who was trying to raise money for his research, they were doing theirs quietly. Now, the fact that you haven't heard that, the fact that these companies aren't releasing their R&D yearly at a flippin', EV event doesn't mean that they're not doing anything. So I think it's very dangerous to just look at the amount of news that Tesla generates as an indicator of their research relative to the rest of the automobile manufacturing market. It's a very tight-lipped group of people. So, again, I don't think there's as big a gap as you might think.
That's a very good point. But obviously, everyone's talking in the comment section saying, hey, can we move on past the EV? So, yeah.
All right, how about airlines? I'm in the AAL, and I'm wondering where it's going to be at open. I kind of expected more movement based off the ER than what we see right now.
Let's not talk all at once.
seems like discretionary spending is going to go down, right? That's all I got for you.
Any other reports that came out recently other than the GDP numbers? Or is the GDP numbers the only thing so far this week that's come out? I gotta look at the
No,
economic
there's
calendar.
been plenty of stuff. We had durable goods this morning as well. But
Was that a positive or a negative?
actual was 5.6 versus consensus of 2.5. So
Oh my
quite a
god.
spread.
My calls.
Sorry to hear.
Specifically, those were durable good orders, so more economic activity than you'd expect.
Look, you're either going to make a bunch of money or you're going to have an amazing post to the sub, and we're going to love you for it. So no matter what, it's a win.
Dear Lord.
It's only 5
I don't
minutes.
know. Yeah, I don't know if anyone mentioned this yet, but if you guys didn't have a chance to listen in on Luce's talk last night, I would highly recommend you find the recording and listen to it. One of the best talks I've ever heard. It was on the psychology behind investing, some of the psychology that goes into investing, and it's one of the best talks I've heard. I strongly recommend you find it and listen to it. It will help your trading out immensely.
What was
Oh yeah, that was great.
Good morning, Wall Street Bets. How y'all doing this morning, fellas?
Hello.
Yes, sir. So I took the link you guys, I think it was called Chicken Little or whatever it was. I posted my picks last night just for all the naysayers around 8 o'clock, just for what it's worth. Right. I would like to mention my options play from yesterday. I did cash out, or the day before. It was let me look at my transactions. PARA, I had bought at the 2150 call for February 10th. I cashed out yesterday on that. I did jump in. I don't know if I told you about RIG. RIG. Actually, we spoke about that. I'm in on that, and it's up on the green. RIG, that was May 19th, $8 calls.
So is that Transocean?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, that is.
And they've been on a tear recently. I've been selling covered calls on them. My shares are probably going to get called away at a profit. So I'm looking at re-rolling those.
So I do have some plays. The ones I posted, like I said, in the link, but I'll read them out real quick. Let me just find my
This guy. Don't take any organizational tips from him.
No, don't. I smoke high grade, the best Northern Virginia marijuana is grown here in Woodbridge area. So I'm getting it down. But anyway, no financial advice. I'm going to give you a couple real quick. So there's a couple IPOs that may pop off today that I have my eye on. And IRE and GNLX. Okay. LRE, I apologize. And there's no price yet on that. For ARED, I'm looking for, it's going to have some resistance at 30 cents. I'm looking to curl back in at like 24 to 26 cents, ARED. MDVL, it's got a pretty large float, so it's going to take a lot to move it, but I'd keep an eye on that. You got GNS. AUVI has a merger expected, so something might hop off with that. JAGX. And then LGMK.
Wait, why are you still in? Sorry to interrupt. Why are you still in Genius? That thing has been like flat for days now.
Because something could happen. I mean, I'm not in it. I'm watching
It's on
that.
his screener. Remember, opinion? It's on his screener.
That's all it is.
Stay fly. Hey, let me ask you if you can do something for me. Because technically, I believe this chat has a market cap limit. Can you
I don't think
add
so
the
at this
market cap
point.
limit
It does not.
Because a couple of those are.
Guess what? I'm not here to fancy nobody's feathers and none of that. I'm here to get paid. I'm just suggesting some plays. I'm doing them early.
Man,
So
look. I'm not asking you to do anything I wouldn't ask anybody.
We have no
I don't
market
care
cap
what-
limit.
There we go.
No market
Fair
cap
enough.
limit
No
anymore.
market
We
cap.
don't have, guys. There hasn't been a market cap limit for months, dude. We talked about it.
All right.
So you're late to the
But
party.
Specifically,
but
that no market cap is for this talk only. Posting on Wall Street Bets is still the market cap, but for the talk, we have no market cap.
Oh,
This is
damn.
true. Thank you,
All right.
Lambda.
Yeah, all good. But I just do want to say, Tuesday, maybe you can add, like, I know a lot of these are just momentum plays, but maybe you can only talk about the ones where you have some fundamentals to toss into the conversation. Because
You got it.
otherwise, just kind of reading
No
a
worries.
list. Awesome.
Again, I'm just raising eyebrows, but I will definitely consider that moving forward. You got it.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of just like looking at the top movers list and reading them all out. That doesn't do any of us any good. We can get
That's
that in
not
30
what I
seconds
did,
from
but fair enough. Fair enough.
You get what I'm saying, though. I understand you've got a little bit of a screener, but if you could say, like, hey, maybe this is the strongest. I know you've got your volume screener and stuff like that. Maybe you could say this is the strongest of these few, right? That would be helpful.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. So, Tuesday, you did mention IPOs and new issues, and I was gonna raise kind of the question, like, have any of you guys ever invested in an IPO either before it went public or as a new issue or even as a private investment? And how did that go?
Yeah, in 2012, I invested in a company called Cheniere Energy, ticker's LNG, and it took me like 6 freaking years to get my principal back. Stupid. But now it's way up there. It's above its IPO price because of the LNG shortage. All it took was a war in Europe. Imagine that.
Well, I mean, it was up even before that when you're the only natural gas exporter in the lower 48. Like, it kind of helps you.
Sir, are you saying you bag held for 6 years?
I'm saying I have some long-term holds.
I mean, yes, I know primarily the sub is about short-term plays, but that one was actually a really good one if you're going for long-term. And speaking of people who generally comes with some pretty good plays, especially when it comes to options, we have Addition of Darkness, who I haven't seen forever, and it's so good to see you.
Yeah, man.
Everyone throw the Doge for Additional Darkness. Let's go, Additional Darkness. Throw the Doge.
What's up, guys? Yeah, I'm just back again. I haven't participated in the main chat in a minute, so just here to shout out some plays. I mean, this week's earnings is pretty juicy, but next week's is going to be great. I think almost every important blue chip stock is reporting in the SPY either this week, next week, and the next following week. So definitely, if you're part of Kang Gang for the SPY, then you're going to see some rips up and rips down. But I think the overall general trend is that we're trending up this time around, especially the investors really showing out with that Tesla earnings. I didn't expect it to go over 150, but they like the stock. Things to watch out for going in after hours today. Intel, they report tonight. So if you want to grab up your calls or puts where you feel like it's gonna go. Me personally, I'm grabbing a couple $32 to $30 calls expiring February 10th. Also, I'm still bullish on China. You guys asleep out there in the large caps in China. They're buying up shares of the largest caps in the Chinese market. I know y'all hate China to death, but damn, those companies gonna make money. I don't know if you guys been watching Baba, but you've watched in the last 3 months, it's literally creeped up $30 and nobody has batted a fucking eye. So it's just like, I don't know what it takes, how much more gains you can miss out on for free, but China's bull market is there. It's waiting for them.
I agree. Let's go China. Baba, you can't let go of him. Yeah, I agree with you. China.
Yeah. Since I came on here a month ago and was like, Ni hao ma, Wall Street Bets, and was talking about Chinese stocks, Hua, which was one of my call outs, has doubled in price. Nuts. It's up 100%. Crazy. They're like the Chinese version of Netflix. They're all over the place, though, in stock price. Be careful with that one.
Yeah, if you're unsure of the Chinese company you want to invest in, I recommend the ETFs. Like I said, FXI. was introduced to me, and I've loved it ever since. If, like I said, you're trying to bull like me, I also have yen on my ticker. That is YINN. So yeah, just
What do you think about Baba?
yeah, Baba too. Only thing I don't like about Baba, the theta on those plays is quite gruesome. So just be careful with those weeklies and short term plays on Baba. If
Are you messing? Are you messing with Baidu by any chance?
Slightly, but only focus on the biggest of the basically the top 10, if you will. So Tencent, JD, of course Baba, and a couple of others. But yeah, I try to keep it towards the large caps because China doesn't want those companies to fail. They'll let Lucked In Coffee fail. They don't give a fuck about the coffee. But Baba's not going nowhere.
Do you still feel the same about Neo? I think the last time you were on here, Neo was pumping a little bit and it fell, and now it's pumping again. Do you still
Yes.
feel the
So
same?
you got to remember, Neo was the first one to get these types of subsidies because when Neo first got IPO'd and it first had its initial rocket to about $10 or $11, and then it fell down to a fucking crater to about almost $2. That's when the Chinese government stepped in and said, nah, we about to buy this shit. So Neo's been receiving subsidies / being bought by the Chinese government since a year after it IPO'd. So once again, Neo's not going below $10. I don't
But
see.
how do you
I agree.
reconcile this view with like Evergrande collapsing over 90%? And are these subsidies just general electric vehicle subsidies, or are they like Neo specific?
I think they are general electric vehicle subsidies, or whichever one that the CCP favors. So the CCP will come out and be like, "Yeah, we like this company, and we're going to support that company." So there'll be a whole article about the CCP buying shares, just like when they came out and said they're buying Baba and Tencent shares.
One more to add to the list beyond just subsidies is Jinko Solar.
Oh yeah,
that's another good one. They were a while ago. They were listed as a company that the U.S. doesn't want to do business with because of questionable labor practices. But they've straightened up their act, and Harvard actually gave them an award for governance and the feel-good kind of stuff. So now they're no longer banned from doing business with the U.S. And also, the U.S. has mentioned that they're trying to bolster the implementation of solar to make the energy grid more resilient. So that kind of fits in with our strategy of building out solar more. So that one might be a one to keep an eye on too. The ticker symbol is JKS, Juliet Kilo Sierra.
On a more macro level, if China's market really starts going, is that going to affect JPOW and what we do over here, or what do you guys think?
Oh, it'll definitely affect us, especially when it comes to the trade balance. But I don't think at this point there's really enough time for China's economy to shift and for it to impact the U.S. Before we reach terminal rates, probably. That's just my view. I want to continue on this topic, but first I just want to ask about the Alibaba and Tencent shares that you mentioned. Are you talking about when they bought the golden shares? So like they buy like maybe like 1%
Yes.
or something? Okay, but then they get like full control over or significant control over certain divisions of the company.
Yeah, certain aspects of the business. So it's just like the government's just basically trying to make sure you don't have that Jack Ma situation where the leader of the company basically talks out against the government. So basically, as long as you don't say anything against the president of China, your business is gonna stay alive and well regardless of economic conditions. As long as it's a actual profitable business and has a good business model, not like Evergrande that was just a shit show.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's roll back to the previous topic. What was the question again? Oh,
The
if
question
China...
was, will China's central bank and their current economic policies affect U.S. dollar dominance and J-PAL's interest rates? I think was roughly what the question was.
Oh, the central...
More or
Oh, I
less.
just heard general economic impact. Sorry, go ahead. Or don't go ahead.
I was just saying more or less that was like, because I was one who brought that up, and his reiteration was basically on what I was talking about.
By the way, opinion, I took a look at the economic calendar for today and tomorrow. Just want to mention, the only notable thing is today at 10 a.m. is new home sales for December, where the forecast is 615,000 versus the previous 640,000, so we're expecting lower. And for tomorrow, it's looking juicy. The core PCE comes out and the PCE. We're also, that's the pending home sales is also going to come out tomorrow, and consumer spending is coming out tomorrow. So, if anybody was wondering, for this week, that's pretty much it.
Well, I think not just that, but tomorrow we also have U.S. personal income, real personal consumption, and price index too. But I'm a futures guy, so those are all probably a little more important to me than just trading.
We'll just focus on PC and core PC.
Yeah. When is going to be the next Fed announcement?
Say that again? Oh, Fed announcement. Wasn't it in February? February 2nd?
Yes, January 31st to February 1st. So they have the 2-day
okay.
meeting,
Yeah.
and they'll announce on the 1st and have the press conference. And good morning, everyone.
And keep in mind, Fed is on blackout right now, so you're not going to hear anything from them.
Why can't they be on blackout like most of the time? Because every time the doves come out and then the hawks come out and then the doves come out. Every single time in between these meetings. Just to confuse the markets.
Are you sure it's to confuse the markets, or is it for your calls?
Thank you, opinion.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to dredge up bad memories.
I think J-Powell's still down with COVID though. FYI.
Oh yeah, he has COVID. I mean, it's not really gonna affect his decision on rate hikes. I don't think so. That's the only thing that matters for us.
No, I'm pretty sure he could zoom in at this point.
I'm pretty sure there'll be a rate hike. Like, it's guaranteed.
Imagine, yeah, hey guys, I have COVID, so because I have COVID, we're gonna do 1 basis point. 1%. 100 basis points we're gonna do.
We talked about
Everybody
Jobless
jumped in Cosmo yesterday, COSM. I know some people on the line that made some money. I'm getting a bunch of DMs about all the hate. So go back and check my track record. In fact, I'll just say this. I made 3 options calls in the last 4 or 5 days, and they all cashed out in the green. So I do pay attention to charts. I've walked charts, EMA, all that, resistance, support. So, but just keep an eye on COSM.
Awesome. Thanks, Tuesday. I look, don't get too offended. I think I also saw some comments saying they made money off your plays, so I think just keep the good things rolling. What was the thing mentioned just before COSM?
Jobless claims.
Ah, right. Okay, what about them?
Just asking if anyone has a take. I know the numbers came out this morning, right?
Yeah, so the numbers came out this morning. You're talking about the initial jobless claims or the continuing jobless claims? So the initial jobless claims today, actual is 186,000 versus the forecast 205,000. So it came less than forecasted, the initial jobless claims.
So less people are out of work than they were hoping by this point, meaning they're going to have to keep hiking, or what's your take on that?
Correct.
Oh yeah, bear party, baby.
At some point, they might just say, we've achieved a soft landing.
Exactly.
And we didn't increase unemployment, but we're not raising rates anymore. And to prove that we've achieved this soft landing, we've adjusted how we compute inflation. And then they'll point to the new inflation number, and it'll be lower, and everybody will cheer. And we'll move on. So I would be a little careful with that, with being too bearish right now.
We could have just done that the whole time, you're saying?
Hold on, Scald. I would agree. However, the Fed has laid out a plan, and I think if they don't go through their plan, which is rate hikes up to the terminal rate, then hold there for an extended period of time, that's what he said. Then anything outside of that plan pretty much just makes the Fed a laughingstock, which they already are. So I don't think they don't have a choice but to stick to their initial plan that they've been touting for every single quarter. Well, I mean every single Fed meeting. They've been touting that plan. So I think they'll just hike rates, keep them elevated. I don't know till how long. And I think the market is not gonna find a bottom because of that. The only way they find a bottom is if again they deviate from their initial plan and do whatever it is you just said, which is.
But people will front run that kind of turnaround, right? So it's like, what are we now? 5.25. The terminal 6.25, right? So with like say 6 meetings between now and the middle of the year, or 4 or 5, that could just be 25 points each time, right? Which would be kind of seen as them pumping the brakes.
Yeah, that's correct. And I'm just saying that I don't forecast an increase in the terminal rate from here. So, as you're saying, right, that's a few moderate basis point increases, then holding at that level. Well, that's what we already knew was going to happen. And then they're going to define success. They're going to say they succeeded, regardless of what happens, right? They're going to be like, oh, well, we succeeded in curbing inflation. Even if, prices are still
I don't disagree with your points, Scott.
yeah.
I think we're a few basis points for us to reach terminal rates. They hold it. All I'm saying is I don't think they're gonna deviate from their plan because they would fall face value.
Oh yeah, no, the Fed will not deviate from their plan.
But I definitely that's what I'm saying. Either they deviate from their plan and go with your take, or they stick to their plan and cause a crash.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys kind of agree. I mean, people were saying that a month or two ago that we were on the verge of, if they didn't back down, we're on the verge of some kind of like subprime-esque just break in some part of the credit market. And I mean, it seems like the market's pretty confident that's not going to happen now.
Actually, the market wasn't. I think the market is predicting rate cuts in around June or midsummer. They're predicting rate cuts. The Fed is saying no. I'd rather believe the markets than what's coming out from the Fed. But we'll see if they stick to their plan about holding rates high for a while, or not. I mean,
I think Jay Powell's been very clear that his number one goal is to not repeat the 70s, where they raised rates, they paused, and then everything went to shit, right? I feel like that's always been his talk, is we're not going to do that, we're not going to pull back too early, we're not doing the 70s again. So when people are like, oh, they're going to pivot, oh, they're going to stop, I'm always like, but he's been constantly saying he's not going to do that because that caused crazy inflation in the 70s, and he does not want that tied to his name.
right. So, well, we'll see if they stick to their plan or not.
For sure. I mean, I think that what I was trying to get at just there was that it felt like quite recently people were saying that not even if the Fed just so much as stuck to their plan of going to 6.25, that would cause like something to break essentially. It now feels like they can do that, and people have just kind of stomached it. So it'd be interesting to see if that is actually how it kind of plays out. But I think I read, because I was looking at mortgages, I read like 4.25 Little did I know that actually has very little bearing on the mortgage rates I can buy. But that's another story. Apparently 4.25 is forecast for the end of this year, which is kind of in line with like going up to 6. Although that's kind of a strong cut back down to if you're going to get back down to 4.25 by the end of this year. But we'll see.
I don't think they're going to get the terminal rate over 6. Now, I could see them getting it just over 5 and doing it. And I agree with you. The bond markets are screaming rate cuts this year, probably by some unfortunate, unforeseen, event. Differing from the not, as Scalda said, they're not going to budge. They're going to go through with at least 2 more quarter point rate hikes and then stop. Look around.
Well, I mean, the first pivot of the Fed isn't going to be to reduce the rates. I think the first pivot is going to be to just hold them steady for a few sessions and not change them at all. Like zero increase, zero decrease.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. They did the same thing in 06 to 07. They just held the rates for a very long time, and then they started cutting after. Pretty much when the crash was near, they started cutting rates. But they did hold it for an extended period, and I think that's the same plan that's planning out.
So we have 10 minutes left for the market to open, but this is a shout out to Hardy. Last week he posted, I think, for the delta neutral crossing and gamma. The one he mentioned was the medical properties trust, and he had a puts on it. I went for it, and I made 145% in profit, and it's still going. So thanks to Hardy.
He does great stuff for free. Gotta love
And
him.
remember, you gotta follow the Hardy rule on that plan. Is you sell half of it on the double. So when it hits 100%, you should sell half, and then the rest you can just free roll as long as you want.
Yeah, I went for the one he actually mentioned, saying that 45 cents or less. I was waiting for it to fall below 45 cents. I just got in, and it's 145. So hoping it will go more, but I don't want to be greedy as well.
You're already greedy if you're still holding on to the option play that's over 100%.
I mean, at 145, you can just sell a third of them, right? Someone correct me if my math is done, but essentially you can sell a third to cover your entry.
Or you could buy more.
He has the same play for March 17th as well. So I'm going to close this and open that one.
Take it from me. Don't leave money on the table. I'll look like a dumbass in the long run.
Take that profit.
Please go buy yourself a nice steak dinner, something. I find something to spend that money on. That's what helps you take profit. I get it. The primordial instinct is to watch the number get bigger, but please buy yourself new tires, new clothes, whatever case may have. You buy you that nice gold chain that you always wanted. Find a way to take
Daddy
profit.
needs a timing belt.
Sometimes winning can tilt you as much as losing.
Follow-up favor to do yourself: when you are sold out, don't ever look at those options again.
The ex-girlfriend theory. Yeah, don't go checking up on her.
They don't exist.
Exactly.
Just be happy with your daily gains. Fuck Wall Street. Fuck these companies. Just get the bag.
So it's 9:22. Anybody got any recent plays that they want to share?
Question: did anyone discuss about the SAP and IBM job cuts today?
You got an option play for that?
Nope.
Anybody got any further plays or further economic data that could spur somebody to make some good cash today?
I gave my rig call. It's kind of far out. RIG options. If you want an options play, I don't know if you heard it. It's May 19th, $8. I'm in the green. I bought in yesterday.
Cool. Also, Night Swift Transportation is reporting tonight. their options chain is reporting in that there might be a big move in that. So do your due diligence and see what options you would like to pick out of them as well tonight.
Did we talk about Tesla's earnings yet?
A mixed bag, but no, I don't think anybody went over it.
Yeah, we talked about
We
Tesla.
did.
I don't think anybody mentioned that their earnings were higher than they've ever been. I think that was what was reported.
Side note, I don't trust fucking Elon. He likes to play with people's emotions. He'll say some shit knowing he's gonna make some money on the back end.
Yeah, that was the consensus. He has to pay some kind of interest payment in a couple of days here, so he's probably just dumping on us.
Yeah, it was pretty flat after they released all the numbers, but it was after the earnings call, and they said their gross margins weren't going to drop below 20% with the discounts, and that's when it spiked into this morning. So I'm not holding currently, but it's up 10% pre-market. So
If you do anticipate dilution for whatever reason, though, and you're very bullish on Tesla, you have an opportunity to set some cash aside to buy in after that significant dilution, which will push it down, though, so you can plan ahead.
I mentioned American Airlines earlier, and their earnings were pretty strong. Where is it? I just hit it up. They had their highest fourth quarter revenue ever, I believe, and they haven't moved too much. I could see them pushing up throughout the day, and I'm already in them at a 16 call. I'll take that for what you will.
I'm not. Go ahead.
No. Mine's not a play.
I was just going to say I saw Cold KOLD was up double digits yesterday and today in the pre-market. I know we have some holders and buyers of that. I thought that looked interesting. That caught my eye.
Right. Before we get into more plays, just want to go back to the guy that said IBM. IBM is slashing 3,900 jobs, but that's more than just 1% of its workforce. They're taking a $300 million charge in the first quarter, which is related to the layoffs. So if anybody's thinking about playing an IBM option, well, there's slightly good news for you if you're a bear or bull, however you want to take this. Anybody have an energy play? What's that stock?
Let's
Warren
invite a couple
Buffett.
people up. Oh, Oxy?
Thank you.
Any particular energy you're interested in, or just anything that produces energy? Because you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, that's why I bring it up. If you have something to say regarding the energy sector or energy play, please say so.
I still like First Solar and Enphase. They're in solar power.
I'm going to keep talking about uranium as long as it continues to be 18% of the U.S. electrical generation and under the incentive price to meet global demand. We'll keep saying it.
Reptile, I think recently there was a uranium news that it's spiking overall.
It's been moving up a little bit, but we'll see.
How much uranium is used for power versus nuclear weapons versus like medical use? Is there a uranium supply chain What's the proportions?
Or any
I
ticker?
I can't give you percentages, but it's pretty much all for power generation. The other stuff is very insignificant.
Cool.
You got a ticker that we can look at? Please and
Sure.
thank you.
So I mean, I'll keep life. Just go with URNM, which is a diversified ETF. Keep your life easy. Having said all this, the sector has run a lot recently, so I would personally wait. It tends to sell off over the summer because all the utilities go on vacation and the sector just stagnates over the summer. So if it's interesting to you, just wait. It'll get cheap. It always does.
Reptile, don't you
Thank you,
think it's a
Homer.
good time? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say thank you. My bad. Good.
Reptile, don't you think it's the only time to invest in uranium is if any nation starts to finally accept nuclear power plants? That's the only time uranium would be a good time to buy for the long term. Don't you think so? Because right now in the current climate, with uranium still out in the open across nations, they don't know what to do with it, whether they should lower regulations or not. Don't you think right now is a bad time to put in uranium and just wait it out?
I'm sorry, market's about to open, boys. Have a good day. Keep an eye on AREB. It's prime to pop.
What was that? ARBB? What?
AREB. I'll give you some quick DD since motherfuckers is lazy. AREB, right? Market cap is 3 million. It's oversold. The shares outstanding are 16 million. The 10-day volume, we're at 2 million on that, so we over that. It's got some news, and I get bags. Don't hold bags, bitches. Let's go.
All right.
Wait, you don't hold bags? Don't you have AMC?
Oh yeah, I do have $60,000 worth
Damn,
of AMC, but shit, y'all can't even hold them bags. The fuck? Who's holding
Fine,
60,000 negatives? I'm just talking to the haters on here because my plays pay. Since So
Hey,
anyway,
man, if you don't got
we're all
people
probably
hating,
holding some
you're doing something
AMC
right.
for sure. I'm
Opinion,
getting
why you gotta
paid.
bury the dude?
They always want to bury these nuts in your wife's mouth, faggot. The fuck?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a bit
Come
too
on.
much.
All right. Anyways, real quick.
Sensitive, yo.
Nano Dimensions. Anyone? I know they've been being pumped and shit for a long time on Wall Street Bets, but they just had their highest fucking revenue, sales, and growth. Check out the news. Just wanted you guys' opinion on it. I got 25 shares at like, the fuck is it? Right around $2. Any opinion?
Pretty harsh. Not that one, but
Wait, Reptile, you were gonna say something about the uranium industry?
Real quick, do you guys mind if I jump in since you guys are done
Damn.
talking shit about
I wanted to hear Reptile. Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Well, hang on. I'm just before he jumps in. I'm just gonna say I gotta head to a work meeting anyway, so I'm gonna be gone for a little bit, so I can't even answer your question. If I come back, I might. Y'all continue doing your things.
No problem.
Yeah, you guys talked about GDP, but nobody really mentioned what the specific callouts were. So let's just point out that the things that they highlighted that are driving the growth is private investment. And when they release more specific data, you're going to be wanting to look into the areas where they think services led, specifically healthcare services, housing services, and utility services. So one play I see is XLU, which is utilities. And basically, if you go out to the 24th, you can buy out of the money calls and out of the money puts. Because basically between now and then, the stock price is on Hardy's chart suggests it's due for a downward correction, but the upside potential is that on the 23rd, when they release this detailed data, they're going to be very specific about what areas of utility-led growth, and you might get an additional rise. So you can basically play the volatility in the stock by going out of the money on both sides. So like look for puts for like 1 cent, and then look for calls for 1 cent, expiring up.
Yeah, that's kind of a dark overview. Yeah, that's an addition of darkness right there.
I was going to mention Intel's earnings are today. Technically, it looks like they've hit a double bottom, and they're predicting not a lot of good outlook, but I disagree with that.
Yeah, slight spoiler. I was going over Intel earlier this morning. You say you predict what do you predict for earnings though? Because I do want to pick up calls.
I wouldn't play options on it, but I think that they are going to be mentioning their future outlook, and I think it's going to be bullish. And I think that tomorrow would be a good time to start doing some buy rates. I don't think they're going to have good earnings this quarter, and I think they're actually going to drop. This is because of their prototype video cards and because of the slowing down in general of their market.
But don't you think future guidance is king?
Yes, I do. But I think that their future guidance is actually going to be more representative of the entire sector, not just specifically for Intel, even though I think that Intel has potential to be the highest growing. But I'm not going to risk an earnings play on it.
For Intel, since Microsoft came out with lower PC sales, isn't that a good catalyst for Intel in their earnings? Because I'm reading an article here that says the declined PC market and stiff competition from rival AMD for data center business is the same. It's going to impact Intel's data center business as well. So the outlook is looking dim for Intel.
Yeah, well, like I think it's going to be a bad quarter of earnings, but I think that they're going to start talking about their growth. They haven't. They're pivoting a little bit into expanding their range, and they haven't completed it yet. So
Okay.
I think that their future outlook is going to be good, but they literally don't have the tools or the equipment or the experience for making this quarter a good quarter. And then another thing I wanted to talk about, and I'm not a Bitcoin guy, as everybody knows, but I've been mulling around with these essential exchanges and their over leveraging going down, and I've been looking into this stuff, and I've been noticing a few things, and I was reading an article yesterday about how Arizona is moving to try and make Bitcoin legal tender. I've also seen Goldman Sachs state that Bitcoin is going to be the number one growing or highest return in 2023 if you invest in it now. And even though JP Morgan is calling these things pet rocks, it's looking like the future of this Bitcoin is going to be legal tender soon because of pushings from politicians. And I think it's actually hit a bottom. Which,
to add to that, El Salvador announced that they paid off all their sovereign debt because of Bitcoin, and the media is not really covering it as much as they covered when they thought El Salvador was making a mistake. But since then, El Salvador has announced that they've paid off their entire sovereign debt thanks to Bitcoin. So I think a lot of other second and third world countries are going to be looking at Bitcoin as a possible play. And like you said, the Arizona thing is actually pretty big to allow government agencies to choose if they want to accept Bitcoin or not. I think that's huge.
I mean, it's been talked. This has been talked. Yes, it is huge. It's huge. It's been talked about for like, I don't know, 10 years. El Salvador did all their Bitcoin carryover in 2021. I was looking into it, into it and the timeline, which was pretty much at the top of Bitcoin, and it gave this huge legitimacy to the technology. And then now that it's crashed, I believe that even though JP Morgan is trash talking it, they are actually buying it up, and I believe Goldman Sachs is also buying it up, and they are scraping this dip, and they are going to start pivoting as more lawmakers work to make it legal tender. So I'm probably going to buy some.
And also, the U.S. government may use it to pay off their debt. I mean, I wouldn't think that is a far-fetched idea.
Yep.
Kind of going
They
that
seized a lot
vein.
of Bitcoin.
Yeah, they already have.
Absolutely. They seized a lot of Bitcoin.
Yep.
So like they have all the seized Bitcoin from criminal activities that they got. They could sell it off, and then El Salvador's been dollar cost averaging down into it, so they didn't just buy it at the height. They also bought it lower. And Fidelity has announced that they're going to be offering Bitcoin or crypto custodial services to their clients. So yeah, there's a lot of institutional interest this time around in crypto.
Yes.
And Bitcoin in particular.
Yeah.
That's
and I've
the
never
main
been a
thing.
maximalist. I've never put all my money in Bitcoin. That's probably kept me from a lot of gains. I've been in and out of it for 8 years, but if you keep a small percentage, yeah, it's kind of silly not to have it in your portfolio, at least part of your alternatives portion of it, which is 5 to 10% for most investors. So and I'm done.
So the big institutions are starting to change their mind. Bitcoin's obviously been crashing, so it's cheap to buy. So now would be the time that they would get in. Also,
and JP Morgan
SEC has doubled down on their statement that it is not an equity that they can control and regulate.
I'm
and
surprised
JP
it
Morgan
ran out.
knocking it as a JP Morgan knocking as a pet rock is kind of funny because they tried to release their own crypto, their own version of a crypto, and it didn't really go anywhere yet. So it's kind of disingenuous for them to be knocking Bitcoin as a pet rock when they're trying to do their own thing.
Yeah, Jamie Dimon's full of shit, basically, and he's just doing this so that he can try and dissuade people from jumping in.
Can we tell who's buying it?
Huh?
Can we tell who's buying it? I had some. I sold it. I didn't think it would go back up, and I'm surprised it went back up. Is there a way to tell who's buying it? Like, are these retail investors or funds, or
you can look at addresses and see, or the wallets, and you can see when whales are moving.
Is somebody tracking it? Yeah, I'm just wondering who's buying it.
You can't know. That's the thing too. It is.
And how much? Like, is it just a few sales that drive the price up, or is it a lot of sales driving the price up?
Well, a lot of it has been like, even though you can't, implement the wash rule. I don't think the wash rule applies to Bitcoin, but a lot of people sold towards the end of last year for tax loss harvesting, and then a lot of those people could be coming back in. And then also you have all the positive news around Bitcoin that's going around in the news cycles. So it's tough to see who's buying it, but you can track wallets.
Yeah, you can track wallets. And the problem right now with the policy is they're trying to treat it as a commodity and a security. And they need to just kind of pick one lane. I don't want to get too deep into that, but the way they tax it and the way that they want to control it, if you will, as much as the government can. I think the legal tender thing is a very interesting idea. And yeah, that seized money or the seized Bitcoin that they have, yeah, that could pay for a lot of things.
Well, it's starting to all this talk about legal tender and all that stuff is I see that it's starting to ramp up in popularity pretty quickly, and it's getting moving pretty quickly. And I think that the price going up recently is probably attributed to this. So, and also as far as being used as a security, the SEC doesn't believe that it is a security because it's so decentralized. And depending on how deep in the rabbit hole you want to go, there's a lot of people who think that America would benefit by switching over to Bitcoin as well to get rid of like the inflation and all that stuff. There's some far-fetched shit out there that I don't want to get into.
Are we seeing consolidation? Like all the shit coins, are we seeing consolidation? Like, well, Bitcoin is starting to lead, and people are not buying all these other coins.
So Bitcoin is different than other coins because of custodialship. You have reached the end of my knowledge on this subject, so I don't know very much more. But there is a difference between shitcoins and Bitcoin because of decentralization and custodialship. And if there's custodialship in any kind of form, then the SEC can control it, and all of a sudden it loses its special ability.
Yeah, I feel like all the other coins like distracted from Bitcoin and kind of messed it up. And if we start to see consolidation from other coins to Bitcoins, we might see a real trend growing.
Sure, because like the recent one, the Winklevoss twins, I forget the name of their exchange, but they just got charged, or at least they got a SEC act, or not an act,
It's Gemini, and they went bankrupt.
Gemini.
yeah.
And
But,
No,
but they said it
Genesis.
was
No. Hold on. Genesis. Genesis went bankrupt, not Gemini. Be careful on that one. Genesis is the one that went bankrupt. Gem is the one that is run by the Winklevoss twins. It's two different things.
And they got charged for securities fraud because of their interest bearing. So that's more the shitcoin world and what FTX did. So they
Gemini
can come
Earn.
in and treat it like it. So it's not completely answered. That's part of the problem. But yeah, go
Gemini
Bitcoin.
Earn.
Don't worry about shitcoins.
But you're talking about something that you're talking about something that's different. I'm talking like Bitcoin is, you got to understand, it's different. Like it cannot be regulated. It's its own special thing, often imitated, never repeated.
Yeah, the difference between Bitcoin is
Often imitated,
there's
never
no
duplicated.
metallic butyrate. There's no CEO. There's no IT department on that stuff. You have to do it. The only way you can do it is if you go to a central exchange. So Bitcoin is unique in that quality.
Has Ethereum run up with Bitcoin in this latest run up? It's the
Yeah.
only other one I see as like a decent coin.
All the crypto.
But Ethereum, again, Ethereum is more like fiat with crypto lipstick, right? Because Bitcoin, you can't create any more Bitcoin. The quantity right now is fixed based on the current iteration of the algorithm.
21 million.
Ethereum, you can make as many. They can produce more.
Oh, really?
Right. So yeah, I mean, Ethereum is more like it's contract. So anyone can make a contract, right? So you can have any kind of like anyone can make a contract off of Ethereum. You can even make like other tokens based on Ethereum. So it's like fiat with crypto lipstick. Whereas Bitcoin is true crypto. You can't make any more. You can't counterfeit it. You can't change the quantity that's going to be in circulation.
Let's be clear though, Bitcoin and Ethereum need each other because you need to be able to stake your Bitcoin and I need to be able to send you a contract to interact with.
I agree. No,
currency.
Yeah,
So
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. They have different.
I'm just more saying for
uses.
the audience.
Like I don't.
All we're saying is
I look at Bitcoin as
that Ethereum is different because there's custodialship. There's a whole team of, there's like a board or whatever they want to call it. If they change the names.
Well, Ethereum, you do have custodianship of a wallet, and that wallet can interact with contracts, and those contracts can be callable. And yeah, you can write your own contracts, but let's just be clear, the benefit is that Bitcoin was the leader in blockchain technology, and we can innovate on blockchain technology. But as far as your question about altcoins, I mean, there's speculative altcoins, there's ones that have more use cases, and they're all pumping and dumping at different times based on interest, but they all collapsed after the FTX interest. Once everything was kind of finalized with him going to court, they started pumping again. It's more people getting back into them, like Solana. Solana has a ton of development. So you just have to look at what has the most market cap, what has the most developer interest, and what has the most use cases. And then from there, everything else is pretty much speculation. So do your own research and don't take advice from anyone on Reddit.
I'm not trying to
Right
pump
on.
anything. I'm just trying to bring attention to the fact that politicians are actively seeking to legitimize Bitcoin as legal tender in the United States, and that there is a precedent of it already existing in El Salvador, and the benefits that can come from this, and it would actually be pretty beneficial, and it's kind of a big deal.
Can I give y'all a quick options play? Don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, I'm done talking about Bitcoin.
Cool. XP, EV.
Hell
Expiration.
yeah.
Expiration is 2/3. Strike price is $12. No stop loss. And I will, if you don't mind, on crypto, like I read charts, I do that whole shit. I'm a technical genius when it comes to certain things, right? So I'm just gonna throw this play out. I have screenshots that I called it before. Not gonna plug anything, but I can add the screenshots here where I bought it before and when I called it out. And this was yesterday. I called it out. Let me find it real quick. I'm still in it. I have
You got
some
a
target
$12
prices
strike
on
on
it.
XPEV.
One more time.
You got a $12 strike on XPEV.
That's what I'm shooting for. Hell yeah.
I'm probably the one that sold it to you.
Hey,
Good
look
luck.
how the world works. Hey, good luck. Thank you. I'll take that luck. But the crypto play, if anybody wants it, if not, I can shut the fuck up.
Go ahead.
No, let's hear it.
Cool. Give me a second.
All right, am I gonna regret saying this?
It's APT, and I want to give you exactly what I broke down, and this was specifically, it's based on charts, just charts. My target on it is going to be first target is 1936, second target is 2158, third target is 2270, stop loss at 1390. I got in at 15 and some change yesterday afternoon. And so keep an eye on it. That's all I got for you fellas. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So there, you guys are a lot of bullish talk on crypto in general, and that I guess you guys are thinking the best time to invest in crypto is now.
No. I personally
no.
play crypto just like the
Like a
stock
month
market.
ago.
Personally,
like a month ago.
No.
I play crypto every day like the stock market, bro. I try to make at least $200-300 a day on my
No,
plays.
I'm talking long term in general to
Long term,
everybody.
well,
Yeah,
the theory is just
because
that this is
I'm long term on Matic.
cycling, and that you're going to see a bottom in 1 to 2 months, and you have to wait out to see whether we actually enter into a recession. So, end of February, March is when people expect Bitcoin to start bottoming out, and right now they think this run up is a pump fake. I mean, everybody.
I've been dollar cost averaging Bitcoin all along. I never stopped. I never stopped dollar cost averaging.
CA is the only
and I've been swing trading. I've been swing trading Litecoin because it has good action. So I buy it when it goes up, or when it's down. I sell it when it goes up, and I keep doing it, wash, rinse, and repeat. And then the profits I put it into dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. I've never stopped dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin.
Cool. My argument is, my opinion is the best time to to invest in crypto in general is when the Federal Reserve starts cutting interest rates. That's the only time there could be a bullish catalyst for Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency.
Inflation anymore. It trades in correlation to the SPY. It's not a hedge against inflation. That was what the theory was, but as soon as it's turned into a speculative asset and people started aping into it, and we had all these like pump and dump schemes, like you lost the intention of what it was for. Like, look at the correlation.
No,
like,
I'm not saying a relation to inflation.
It trades in correlation with SPY. So like, I understand what you're saying, sir, but look at, we had record inflation and Bitcoin was pumping that entire time.
I'm saying
He said when he cuts the rates, so when the rates go down,
so
Bitcoin will go
my
up.
argument is when the Federal Reserve raises interest rates, that takes U.S. dollars out of circulation.
So you're
Can't hear
If
you.
US dollars
We can't hear
taken
you.
out of circulation, since
There's
we're
something wrong with your mic,
raising
sir.
interest
We cannot hear you.
the value
Can
of
we
the
get a
US
mass
dollar
mute?
goes up against other currencies. Therefore, the value of alternative.
Thank you, opinion.
No worries. Let's try that again.
Thank you very much for that.
I'm not going to try and explain why deflation would not be bullish for Bitcoin, but somebody else can handle it.
I never talked before. Can I get you all's opinion on something right quick? I've been looking at ticker is GNW, is Genworth Financial, and for the last 5 years, they've been fighting this resistance at around 440, 450 for the price. But it looks like after 5 years, it looks like it's finally about to break out, even though it seems to be undervalued, but I'm not sure. Uh, for the past 2 quarters, they've been exceeding their what they projected for the price to go up to. And they also have their earnings call on February 2nd. It's very low volume, but I was thinking maybe it might be, I'm not sure whether I should be looking at options or just
Sorry,
going
what's the
into
ticker
buy
this
the
time after you're done?
G as in golf, N as in Nancy, W as in water. Uh, it's very low volume, so I'm not sure if it should be just like a buy stock play or it's not really too many places to get in for options. And can you all hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
I think it's too low liquidity out there, too low volume that no one here is particularly interested.
Okay.
SPY kind of needled down to closer to 401 after getting rejected off 404. So I think there might be some interest for that or other, probably like more widely held stocks. What are the memes doing?
Opinion. I joined when people were talking about uranium, but it quickly transferred to Bitcoin or shitcoin. The thing, if people want to learn a great fund and they have a lot of explanation, is the physical uranium fund. It's the Sprott, SPROTT.
Yeah, do you want to talk more about that? I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I know Reptile.
Okay, good. Yeah,
I'm a big fan of uranium as well. And,
He's in a meeting right now.
So the SPROTT is a physical uranium trust. They literally buy and sell physical uranium, and you can. They have a great website. They have a great. They have some really good explanations, how they perform. Like the pricing, the fact sheets, like what, good set of literature about uranium and who they sell it to and in what quantities. So all those questions. But yeah, the vast majority of it is just purely for power. Weapons grade stuff is they don't need as much. Literally, that's the whole point of it. Like when you're using plutonium to run a submarine, you just don't need nearly as much because it's in such high concentrations in terms of radioactivity that it can be it's just that much more dense. It's also that much more dangerous. But yeah.
And that's
all I have to say about it.
URNM is the ticker for that. Sprott Funds Trust.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's two, one's in Canada and one's in the US, but yeah.
I thought weapons grade uranium was less radioactive. It was like more safe to transport. It's really the stuff that they use in nuclear reactors is super hot.
No, that is completely backwards.
You want higher, you want. The objective is to have the highest density amount of energy in the smallest package for weapons grade. So
gotcha.
Yeah, I think I've used that pickup line.
Still don't see the bull case for uranium. It just seems like gold and silver miners. Like all the companies want your money to put it in, but there's never like when's the last time you heard of a uranium producer growing at the same pace as a technology company? It never happens.
The miners themselves are much riskier. This is a physical trust of holdings. So this is material that these are contracts for, and they're fairly long term.
The commodity.
Got it. So it's just more of like playing the price swings than actually making any equity.
You make equity on if there's more and more nuclear plants being turned on.
Equity on
Now,
what? Equity on contracts? That's not equity. That's just a piece of paper.
okay, sure. Yes, you're right. You're right. Sorry. Yeah, there's no physical like new whatever
Okay.
gizmo or gadget. If you're looking to do that, then it would be the ticker is SMR. That's the only one that's or Brookfield. So Brookfield owns a lot of West. Oh dear Lord, they went bankrupt. Westinghouse, nuclear plants, and SMR is kind of the new kid on the block. With they're a small modular reactor. They're New Scale. It's the company's actually called New Scale. The ticker is SMR, and they just got approval for their reactor. Obviously, it's still going to be some time before it gets built. But their whole concept is smaller, standardized, more. Think like they're trying to make nuclear reactors in a car factory, and so by doing that, they can make them a lot cheaper. Because right now, the main cost, the reason why nuclear reactors run overboard is because it's the reason why houses cost so stupid much in North America, because they're all built on site and every site is a little bit different. And the people that they contract to is a little bit different. And it's all in standardized work.
Holy cow.
So what is this?
S&P is at 4027.
So what is this like? It's like a residential nuclear reactor for.
No. Sorry. I was just trying to correlate the reason why the cost and why they want to build it in a manufacturing site.
Okay, what is SMR? What do they build?
So New Scale, they're building SMRs, which is small modular reactors. So instead of one giant reactor on one site, what you would have is a multitude of smaller reactors on the same site that would be combined to equate to a large reactor. And the efficiencies their hypothesis, well, their business case is that by building it in a controlled setting in a manufacturing site, you can get a lot more cost reductions by doing that and just ship them out in these smaller units. And there's also some strong cases for in terms of balancing your energy loads and maintenance, so you don't have to shut down as much, and you could do maintenance over a longer term and in a lot more undisrupted in terms of energy output.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Do you know what their like target market is? Or, who are they saying they're going to target first to sell to?
Wait, did you say their costs have just went from like 58 a megawatt
Yes,
hour
I said
to 100?
yes to 80. I think it's 80 something now. So their original. You really? I only saw 80. Okay.
But it should keep going up.
Sorry, no. You talking dollar power per unit dollar or what?
Yeah, the cost of the energy it's going to produce is going to be.
It should go down.
It went from 58 to 100, and 58 it was borderline whether it was going to be competitive or not. 100, and it really just pushes it out. I mean.
Agreed. So we'll have to see. That's SMR is a risky play. They're cheap though, so you could go for a ride with them.
Okay.
Yeah,
so here's one thing to think about with energy, guys. So we all know the Earth is basically a giant battery, and there's a difference between the charge like underneath the ground and above the ground, and so you can play off that difference. That's basically what the whole Tesla tower thing and all that shit is, and all the free energy bullshit out there. It's basically just playing off that difference between the charge underneath the ground and the charge up high in the atmosphere. And you can actually you can measure that, and you can pull voltage by putting a line up in the sky, running it down into the ground, and you can stick a transformer on that and up the voltage. So, I mean, if any type of like technology actually ever comes,
So that's a
out of
nice to
doing that,
have. The other beyond nuclear, the only other thing that I would look at are geothermal plays where the cost per unit dollar, power per unit dollar to get energy rich heat from the core using geothermal in other than where there are hot springs and exposed, the core is more exposed. That's an interesting play. There's a couple companies that are heavily involved. There's a French company that's trying to use plasma to burn down to burn instead of to push material. And there's a Canadian company that's based from Petroland. So I think they're from Alberta, Calgary, and opinion. Do you know what they're called? Starts with it's something like Energor. I have to go look at it up. I can't remember it. There's two plays for geothermal is an interesting one. It's also a lot less political, other than maybe potentially driving earthquakes because they use this. A lot of them use the same technology as like shale for cracking the ground, but there's a lot less politics in that versus nuclear. Even though nuclear is really fucking safe.
I thought it was I didn't think they had the technology to drill deep enough yet. I mean, I know you can like heat water and shit like that to actually get substantial power. Are they able to drill deep enough, like to do it anywhere, or not? Not yet.
Not necessarily
Sorry,
but they've been
anywhere?
using.
Anywhere? Yes, anywhere. I mean, there's Sorry, go.
I was about to say they've been doing geothermal for decades. It's basically there's a lot of areas where you actually have a lot of like volcanic activity or that. Iceland actually uses a lot of geothermal power.
Iceland, so Iceland's a great example. So they have a huge amount of exposure to the core because of the fact that it's a very new piece of land, and the way that tectonic plates are anyway. But they have district heating. So not only does their geothermal generate electricity, but then the waste heat that they can't get any useful work from in terms of generating energy, they then pipe into cities, and people just run their house heat off of them. So and that's been going on for 50, 60 years, maybe more. I mean,
they grow tomatoes. They have giant grow farms. They even pipe the power down to the UK through a HVDC line.
Fucking hell. Okay. Yeah, but and the waste heat of that is also used, and that's a really nice bonus for those types of environments, right? Where it's in in a colder climate, and you have a crack in the ground that you could extract heat. So even if there's not working fluid that you can get electricity from, you can still use it for home and industrial heating, because a lot of food grade stuff, a lot of housing doesn't need you to be at boiling temperatures, that like supercritical heat water. You can get, as long as you get to 100, you don't fucking care how your steam gets there. So yeah, there's a definitely a use case just for even maybe not electrical grade heat, but heating in general.
Yeah. Well, because that reminds me, when I lived in Colorado, they were building some houses close to my school, and that's what they were doing. Is basically you could put some tubing or piping in the ground and then circulate water that, because the ground would generally be a bit warmer than outside in the winter, and then it'd be cooler in the summer, and it could help.
So that's just a heat pump. That's basically what you're talking about. It's not really geothermal. It's just, instead of an air source heat pump, it's a ground source heat pump. They're great. They're costly though still, because for in general they run probably $30K.
Yeah, good choice.
However,
Dandelion, the Google
yeah, that's
spinoff, Dandelion.
yeah,
They're
exactly. It's
reducing
Google's.
costs. So I'm watching them, but they're getting there.
Yeah, yeah, and actually they're kind of at the beginning of where solar was. So what they do is they kind of do a lease to own. So they themselves will front a mortgage on it, like on the unit. So it doesn't the resident doesn't have to pay up front, whatever the $30,000. They
It
can
makes sense on
pay
their
it.
new builds.
It makes a lot more sense on a new build. Once you're already extracting exposing the ground and you're already digging up a certain amount, it's a lot easier to put in. You can use you don't have to. So Dandelion, why they're kind of special is that the units they use for the boreholes is a lot smaller. And so that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it so that they can get it to any yard anywhere. But yeah, with a new build, first of all, you can build around it. That's one important thing. You already have that knowledge that you're using geothermal, so you could take advantage of that and make it. You could benefit a lot more. And two, what you can do is you can you could use whatever type of boring machinery that you want. You don't have to use something special that can fit into a really small housing space, like a yard. Yeah, and then don't forget that like hot water, like people like most people's homes, at least in North America, I think it's like 30% of their electrical bill. If their hot water tanks on their electricity, it's that as well. So like 30% of your home energy is hot water in general.
So when you were talking about the lease to sell, does that cause any issues for like trying to sell the home? Because
I think it just keeps running with the home. It's attached to the home ownership. So the next owner would be responsible. At least that's the way solars
could
work.
create an issue trying to sell the house then, but that's a whole separate issue, right?
Yeah, but it's just that it's an upfront. It's something that's very clear in the upfront sale of it. It's just like there's still this much to be owed on the geothermal, but guess what? Like you are paying probably 7 times less for your energy.
Yeah, it could boost sales.
I would say it would boost because the amount of power that it really becomes like a good geothermal unit for a house is for every unit of power you put into it, you're getting 4 to 7 out.
Oh, that vibe works.
Yeah, they cost so much. The deal is going to have to be right. But like these solar, there are scam solar deals that could really mess up a house if you do solar stupid, and that might mess up a sale. But geothermal is going to boost sales.
It just can't because they no solar can damage a roof. Solar is a lot more electrically intensive, I would say, and geothermals. Once you put the boreholes, okay, there could be a leak in them, and then the system is done. Like that would suck. But if they've been built right, they're lasting 100 years.
Same with solar. If you do it right, it's not a problem. But there's so many scammers. Like they come out like the siting companies, and people get caught up in some weird deals.
Yeah, well, there's a sucker born in every minute. I was just gonna say something on my energy play, my UNG. I've been kind of getting taken out to the back and getting shot with it, but I actually averaged in a little bit more, so I don't know if anybody's interested in UNG call. So the ticker's UNG, and I'm just playing the natural gas price swings.
Yeah, just tell us more about that, old yeller.
No, there's not that much more to say.
It was an old yellow reference. Too young for it.
We'll take him out back.
Yeah, dude, I'm 33, so if I'm too young for your reference, that's some.
You're 33 and you don't know who you.
So if you didn't get it, screw you.
You don't know who old yellow is.
You should really know that within your age range, my friend. That's not beyond you.
I'm 36 and fucking foreign. Just saying.
I know who Old Yeller is, but I've never watched anything he's been a part of.
He's a really famous actor.
Yeah, he was in this one movie. Man, did a great job.
Just the one.
Killed
He
it.
didn't last long after that.
He took
I'm
his
happy.
shot. He took his shot, and that was his career.
You guys absolutely.
He was really into method acting.
If you had one shot, what opportunity?
Fucking love spaghetti.
So I take it I missed the big energy discussion, huh? Oh well.
It quickly pivoted to geothermal. So
Hey, real quick, why did you?
While we're talking about natural gas, I just bought earlier this morning. Bought some puts on Energy Transfer, ticker ET. It seems like it's crashing. I know they deal in not necessarily crashing, but going down a little bit. And the puts were like $4 a piece for at $13. And it looks like it's going to go below maybe the $14 before the end of the week.
Hey, Rad, you said that you were bearish on Tesla and Albemarle or ALB. I'm not sure how to pronounce the actual name of the company. They're battery maker for Tesla. Do you know anything about them as a lithium battery provider?
I don't particularly remember being bearish on Tesla.
I thought you. Oh, maybe I thought you said SPY puts because Tesla's earnings bad.
Oh, so I bought SPY puts because I thought Tesla's earnings were going to be bad, which totally worked out. It was a great play, and you should definitely take my advice based on just how smart those SPY puts I got yesterday at close were. Super smart play. I'm a big brain investor here. You should definitely follow me on things.
When do they expire?
Does it really matter? It's just let's just say
Worthless.
sometimes you make money and sometimes you just let it go live its own life, right? Like you
It's one
can't
of your
hold it all.
Damn, dude, you are doing good. Sometimes
Reptile. If it comes back, then
Most
you know
of
it
the
loves
time I
you.
lose money.
Yeah.
My question
If
was
you
more
love
so,
something, you got to let it go.
like,
Speaking of natural gas,
wait, real
it
quick, can I
reached
just finish
the
the question? So, like ALB, Albemarle, they make the batteries for Tesla, and they're saying that they're going to keep their battery prices high to pay for the mining costs of lithium. So I figured you're a mining guy. Maybe you would know about lithium mining operations, because if the leading provider of batteries is beating earnings expectations and then Tesla comes out the day after them and beats, what do you think about other lithium battery makers?
So lithium is not actually a market I play a lot in. I'm tangentially aware because I know it goes into EV batteries, but I couldn't tell you like all-in sustaining costs, market breakdown, how contracts work for lithium companies, if there's a shortage or not. I'd just be grasping at straws. Sorry, man.
So none of the mining companies that you are aware of are currently targeting lithium?
I know companies that target lithium. It's not a sector I'm playing, so I'm not like super
got
up
you.
on it.
Thanks.
Well, you got.
If you want to look at,
you can also play nickel and copper because of EVs and their demand of those metals.
Yeah,
So
but
I
copper
will-
is inversing right now.
I
And
will
it's
say
Copper and nickel.
I will say one thing about nickel, because for what little I know of EV batteries, if I remember correctly, nickel is only incredibly relevant for longer range EV batteries. The shorter range ones don't use as much nickel, so keep that in mind. You need to push towards long range EV batteries if you want to push towards nickel, if I remember that correctly.
if you want to play lithium specifically, there's an ETF, LIT. I keep my eye on that one, and Albemarle is the top holding in it.
Was it nickel cadmium that was in those kind of batteries rather than in lithium? Sorry, nickel in nickel cadmium batteries?
Yeah, one thing to watch is the demand is so high that there's a lot of new mines coming online and a lot of new chemistries and innovations being developed. So it's going to be volatile. But yeah, it looks like you would think it peaked, but it just keeps going up and up and up.
And that's why I like an ETF in that case, because if you want to express the idea and put a small percentage of the portfolio single, I mean, it's not the most exciting play, but it still lets you capture that with a diversified basket, if you will. It's still concentrated in the idea.
How's that technology trying to make batteries out of like carbon nanotubes and graphite sheets and stuff? Did they just give up on that?
They're working on a solid state battery that should be out in about 10 years, and they think that by that time they won't have to mine lithium. They'll just recycle old batteries.
Let me jump in
They'll
real
just
quick.
use sodium and lithium by then.
I seen a little while back on Wall Street Bets, there was some company out there that was doing fucking batteries swapping, like gas stations type of ordeal. Does anyone recall that?
Yeah, some scooters and car makers play around with battery swapping.
I feel like that would be a great fucking play from gas stations into fucking battery swaps. Big money could easily get into that.
It works in a shipping container. Electric ships. There's an electric ship fleet where they can swap batteries because they're like the size of a cargo container and make
That's
it make
Norwegian, right? It's in Norway.
I don't know, but it's really getting some traction. But with cars and stuff, you'd need so many more batteries. You just need more. You would need more batteries in order to swap them out and charge them. In the meantime, they just think fast charging is going to be a better solution. And
I just feel like
fast charging.
I just feel like with the technology today, how fucking Tesla can literally go, "Hey, dickhead, you got 4 miles to go. Try to take a left, take a right. You'll be at a charging station." You think you can't anticipate stations that have batteries available, ready to swap, so you can be in and out in 2 minutes rather than sitting there for an hour and a half?
But I think they want to concentrate on developing fast charging chemistries.
Gotcha.
Which are coming.
So, yeah, here it is. It's called Yara. They're from. I just posted it on in the chat. They're a fertilizer company, and they've started using electric autonomous container ships to move their material around like a fjord instead of trucking it.
Yeah. There's another company developing Transocean
But I don't know who
container ships.
I don't know who the creator of them is. I think they're just a fertilizer.
What happens if one of those batteries falls in the water and gets wet?
Whoa.
Why don't you take it easy, all right? Ask some fucking questions I
When you
never
say
know
fast,
the answer to.
When you say fast charging, how fast is fast? Like, what would their target be for like a really fast charger? Talking like 10 minutes, half hour, or
like faster than me in bed, or
that fast
per unit energy for sure.
Yeah, that's a hell of a unit.
So
y'all have been
something y'all have to take into account, especially for like an EV future. You're very stuck in the mindset of current cars, right? Like I go to the gas station when I need gas, I fill up. The EV plan isn't going to be like that. It's going to be like I'm buying groceries. Oh, there's a plug here, I plug in. So it's not going to be this like one big fill up. It's just going to be like, oh, when I stop at a store, I charge for a little bit. Oh, when I go to this place, I charge for a little bit. Oh, when I'm at home, I charge for a little bit. So I think it's more like a mindset shift of there's not going to be as much, just like I need to find a charge station and stay here for hours.
And that's for people that don't have a plug at home. If you have a plug at home, your car is full every day. You get into it.
right?
You get into
Is
it, your car
wireless
full, you got-
charging charging possible with these things? Like,
Yes.
you park on a parking spot and
Yes,
They-
it's
they do-
theoretically, but the infrastructure is non-existent.
There's a couple places. There's a couple places where it is.
You'd have to have giant coils underneath the concrete. Like it'd be really expensive to build a whole compactless parking lot.
Right. So wait. In Germany, in certain sections of the Autobahn, they've had overhead wires that is wireless charging for trucks that they're testing now.
That's the perspective I was coming from. Is like
That
work
would
trucks.
probably be the better idea because if
It's
you put them
for
under the
trucking.
ground, yeah. Well, I mean, there's that too. but specifically having overhead for wireless charging as opposed to in the ground, because like you're gonna have some kid run around barefoot and then he's gonna get shocked.
That's not how it's going to work. It's through
Nah, dude.
induction.
It'll
It's
work.
through
You might get
induction.
shocked from
But
induction charging.
you're right. If someone has like a pacemaker and they walk over it, hey, they're gone.
Now, some grandma rolls up to these like overhead charging, and she's got like her roof rack on, and clips it. That could shock the outside of the car, but it wouldn't travel inside of the car. And then just real quick on the geothermal stuff, the only geothermal play I'm seeing is ORA. Does anybody else have any other tickers for geothermal? ORA is a company that has like a 0.5% dividend. They're running positive earnings. Stock price is like $90. It's been going up pretty well. It's a little volatile, but it's been going up pretty well over the past 5 years, 1 year, 3 month. And it's down a little bit today. All right,
So to
sorry.
be realistic though about this whole car charging thing, I know a guy who's got a solar panel on his roof and he plugs it into his Tesla. Now there isn't anything stopping a neighborhood or a community from having solar panels and just having basically plugs in every single garage. That's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, the issue I worry about is like with work trucks, delivery drivers, guys who drive trucks 200 miles a day. It is a lot more convenient for them to do some sort of battery swap when they need to repower, as opposed to sit there for even 30 to 45 minutes could screw their day up. You know what I mean? If they have to sit in charge for that long.
And even Elon Musk has been very clear that the battery technology is a limiting factor, and he's most of his money is going in for R&D is going into the battery technology.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily his R&D. If you check the company that I was talking about, their stock symbol again is ALB. They reported the day before Tesla, and basically, like I said yesterday, you could have double dipped. You could have seen their earnings report, realize what they are projecting their battery sales to be for the coming year, and reverse engineered what Tesla expects its production to be. They pumped on their earnings beat, Tesla beat earnings, their battery provider pumped again, and they're pumping again this morning. Like, not that that says the company is good or bad. I'm just saying that, like, the battery is going to be expensive because the battery funds the mining for the lithium. And Tesla is completely fine paying for the cost of the battery as long as the company producing the battery is doing the majority of the R&D, which they are. That's going to be the business model going forward. So you need a battery provider who can not only give you the most advanced battery, but actually go mine the lithium itself and secure the lithium.
At what point do you guys think that like the charging stations will start losing money, right? Because the batteries are good enough that people just charge it at home and they're done.
It won't be a battery station thing. It'll be people competing to secure deals with auto providers to have their charging featured within the car's system. The AI will be able to pick up which charging station is available, and you'll basically be bidding to have people charge where you are and offer the lowest cost of charging. It'll be like competing for gas prices.
Yeah, margins will be tight in charging. I wouldn't see any money investing in plugs, but there's one company that does it with solar and a battery. I think they're called Beam Global, that are like doing awesome sales. I wouldn't have expected it, but plugs, I wouldn't invest in plugs. It's just an electric outlet.
Yeah, I think Fisker's new little crossover thing is all solar paneled out.
One thing that wasn't mentioned by anyone that recapped Elon's call yet, one of the things that I think he hit out the park that a lot of people missed is not necessarily the amount of money they've been spending, but the amount of value that each car has relative to the future value. When you drive a Tesla off the lot, you don't need to go back to Tesla to get full self-driving as long as you have the hardware, because you're just going to basically need a software update. So whereas most cars, when you drive them off the lot, lose value, when you drive a Tesla off the lot, you're driving something that could technically appreciate 100% once full self-driving is rolled out. Granted, you know, people have been waiting for the Cybertruck. They could be waiting for full self-driving just as long. But that's what he landed on the conference call, from my perspective, saying like, when you purchase a Tesla, your asset appreciates.
I just don't think full self.
That's
I just.
very.
I was-
I was just gonna say that's very CEO talk. When have we ever seen a
100%.
vehicle that appreciates in value off the lot, right?
I mean, there are cars that do that, but I'm just saying he does make a point. Like, all right, look at it from this perspective, Rad. If you bought a Tesla during the COVID shutdown, relative to the person that is going to buy it next month, the person that bought it next month, 5 years from now, if those two people still own that Tesla, one person paid $20,000 less and still gets the same value of full self-driving as an upgrade.
But the full self driving is just really hard until unless all the cars are on full self driving, then it's really easy. As long as you have humans in there doing crazy shit, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, and going back about you're talking about cars that appreciate, those are like limited run cars that are extremely high in value in initial price. No one's grabbing like a Toyota Corolla off the lot and going, this thing's gonna be worth like way more in a few years.
You
The
can't
only
even
thing
comprehend
that's
it
really
because it
changed
doesn't exist.
is I'm still talking, dude. The only thing that like regular car wise that has changed would be like trucks recently because they just had this huge run up. But other than that, most cars don't appreciate. Most of them depreciate. Yes, he says he's got software speak, but I think it was Rad that said it earlier that probably hit it right off the head. That's CEO talk.
Of course, and we all know Elon is famous for CEO talk. I mean, the guy spent $44 billion buying a social media company and basically left shareholders like, hey, are you going to take care of SpaceX? Are you going to take care of Tesla? Are you just going to be on social media? We know he loves stroking his ego. But as a shareholder, when you have a CEO that's able to get on a conference call, and maybe not everybody understands his style of
Alexa, dismiss.
but basically you guys are pushing back on this ideal of a car being able to appreciate. And that is the idea that he's trying to get people to wrap their heads around. Your car can
Alexa,
appreciate.
dismiss reminder.
The interesting ticker is BEEM. That's probably a good car charger to invest in.
Alexa, can you buy a Tesla?
Something that wasn't discussed was SMRs, small nuclear reactors. They're starting to gain some momentum in the scientific world. They're trying to make these small nuclear reactors for, let's say, armies, where they have an army base in the middle of the desert. And what they do is it's about 4 by 4 feet. They bury it underground, build a base around it, and it powers that base for a good 25 years. And they're planning to do that for small villages around the world. And it's gaining some momentum. There's a whole bunch of websites around regarding SMRs.
Okay. Nuclear, whatever.
That's also conversely the ticker of the company that happens to do that if you're looking to invest in it.
So like a
That's
good
new
gauge
scale,
to see
right?
if like
SMR new scale.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's a few, but I don't know which one's predominantly more better than another right now.
It's very much a new scale thing. I would stick with them if you happen to believe in that tech.
I think there's something being overlooked about depreciation of value for cars.
Has there been any Teslas that have appreciated in value yet? Like, is a Model S Plaid
Well,
gone up in
for
value?
a short period there were some that were selling for over sticker, but that was years ago. That market fell off 5+ years ago, and in the last year, probably because of his Twitter fits, the value of the cars actually started depreciating at the highest rate in the last, call it 1 to 2 quarters. So I understand if they get driverless, but they're not going to get driverless driving. That's a fallacy. They're getting close, but I don't think they'll ever get it. So I agree with the CEO talk, and also the fact that really it was the margins that, as I spoke to earlier, when they said the gross margins were still going to be over 20% with the recent price cuts. That's what the analysts like. That's why the stock was pumping earlier. I think that's more something
No.
based on fact.
They will get to driverless vehicles. It's called a train.
That's the boring company. You're getting the dozen mixed up.
Also, keep in mind, just because they create autonomous driving as a software update doesn't mean it's a free software update. If you want to get a Tesla now with like the built-in park assist, that's a monthly fee. It's not free. They have the software for it, but you got to pay for that every month to have it.
It's like 15,000 to unlock the self-driving.
Yeah, so even if they get that autonomous driving, it's not like Elon's just going to give
It's
it to you.
15,000 per owner. So if you sell the vehicle, that gets locked again.
That's part of his high margins. He's selling that stuff. That's where the high margins are coming.
You guys are all saying this, and you don't realize how bullish it is.
In 5 years, maybe, if he gets it right first.
We're not saying it's not bullish. We're just saying it's not going to mean that the cars are going to appreciate in value.
That's
Because here's the other thing. It's like, hold on. You're saying that like a Tesla bought now, if wants to get self-driving, could get it in the future. Well, this problem is that Tesla has still been driven. It's still going to depreciate. It still might need a new battery. There's going to be things that wear down that cost, even if you are able to get self-driving added onto it.
Yeah, and I think they announced you can't get level 4 hardware. If you have level 3, you can't upgrade. So you won't get the latest.
To be fair, Tesla probably wouldn't even want their cars to really appreciate. They want the new cars to be the best. And
Dude, I'm literally telling you guys, this is what Elon said on the call. Take for it what you will.
So I live in
owns the
Seattle.
company. He's
Yeah,
CEO, yeah. Why he would say good things about it?
So I live in Seattle. It's probably one of the more expensive car markets in the nation. Like a new Plaid is like 160 or whatever. You can get a 2021 Tesla Plaid off Craigslist for 100 grand. So that's 60 grand in 1 year of depreciation.
Thank you.
I think
It's-
latter day
there's
hit it
too much
the
hardware
nail
out
on the
there.
head
They're not gonna
with the fact that like cars depreciate in value because you use them. If you can have the greatest software in the world, but if it doesn't drive, it has no real value.
The software is the value, and so when you buy the software
Not
as
if
the
you
new
can't
owner,
drive it,
that's
if
just
it's
going to the
mechanically
company.
deteriorated over time. If the car is broken down, it doesn't matter what the software does. The hardware is what you need.
Didn't Elon also say that Tesla was going to be the biggest company in the world in about 5 years on that conference call?
Yeah, he did.
Right on. There you go. Written in stone.
It'll take them 10 at least, right?
In all fairness, the stock is up almost 10%. So, I mean, someone likes it.
Yeah, I'm just trying
I'm
to.
not saying it's a bad company. I'm not saying
It's up
it's a bad
50%
stock. I'm
in
just
like
saying
19
that
days.
one thing he is saying does not make sense. The fact that, oh, we're going to have this software update that's going to magically make a car that could be falling apart more valuable.
What I'm trying to explain is like what he said on the call relative to the hardware that's currently driving off the lot, right? Let's just say you're one of the first Tesla buyers and you want full self-driving. You have to take your car in, trade it in for a new Tesla. However, the person that has hardware 3 or whatever it's called just needs a software update. So regardless of what you think about how the car has depreciated, the value of upgrading the software is what he is communicating is of value to a Tesla buyer at this current time.
So I think you just have to think of it like that just means that the older hardware is going to depreciate more. The new hardware will still depreciate because it's cars and there's too much supply for the demand to stay high enough for the cars to appreciate. And they need a new battery after a while anyway. So how would they just keep appreciating if they need work?
I'd want the new hardware because of the Steam gaming. He's putting Steam gaming in his car just for the kids.
Now that's pretty sick.
So I do think the one point that the gentleman has that does add value to a company like Tesla is that they can add a lot of things through hardware updates that other car companies can't claim towards. So in that sense, there is a value to Tesla. It might not make the car worth more as an investment or anything, but it is something that they could say, hey, we can do this. Ford's not doing it. You should get our Tesla instead. So there is that.
I mean, I didn't hear so much the stuff about the values of the car appreciating as much as I heard that doing those software updates and those patches are basically pure profit for Tesla. Right? It's like it doesn't cost them anything to do that.
It's relative to what the cost would be if they were to have to change over from the previous hardware 3 that was not applicable to have like the software upgrade. So like if you think about the cost to Tesla to do that upgrade versus the cost to the consumer, like you're passing on the value to the person that decides to get hardware 3 instead of hardware 2. And from Tesla's standpoint, that's pure profit to them because they don't have to do
hardware 3 is currently being deployed. And the way I heard it in the presentation, was that the older, like pretty much all of the cars that they have out on the road right now can be updated via software. And some of the older models may not be, like maybe the hardware version 1 or hardware version 2. Those might need some hardware upgrades, but the current iteration of hardware level is level 3 that's currently being put out. That was being put out all of last year, and all of those cars, they didn't have the full self-driving in them because it wasn't quite ready yet because they're still beta testing it. And now they're going to be releasing the software in 2 versions, like the FSD Lite and then the full FSD. And what I got from the presentation was that when those people who do decide to upgrade, when they upgrade the software, when they get the software, that is pure profit on top of the profit they've already made on those cars. That is pure profit for Tesla because it doesn't cost them anything to push those software updates out.
Right.
And the software costs in total it costs around $15,000. So that's like that they're still going to collect. From those people who do decide, not everyone's going to decide to upgrade, but he said that the adoption of that was there's a lot of demand for it, and they expect some good things out of it. But we'll see what happens. But what I got out of it wasn't so much the value of the car is going to increase. What I got out of it was that the value of the margin is going to be better on each car that's sold.
Yeah, that's basically right. So, and like I bought the self-driving option. If any updates that come out, I just get it. But someone who hadn't bought it, if it does get really good, they might decide to purchase it later.
So I don't know if Elon addressed this because I didn't listen to the whole talk, but something I do know Tesla drivers say are a real pain in the ass, or if you need any type of repairs done to them, there's a limited pool you can pick from who can actually work on the vehicle, and it is obnoxious. So I don't know if he's trying to address that with training or something, but I've heard it's a real pain.
Yeah, it depends on what you need. Like I needed tires, and it was hard to get them to want to do tires. But there was like a vibration in the front of my car, and it was like a known fix. So all you do is you go in the app, you tell them, they say, come by at this time. They fix it. They give you your car back. That part is a little bit easier than a dealer. And Elon says he's focusing on increasing service and making service better.
That's right. Yeah.
If he is, and if he is doing what he says, I don't doubt that the service will improve.
Right. And on another note, like the car doesn't require oil changes. You don't have to change the coolant. You don't have to change the transmission fluid or any of that kind of stuff. So it doesn't require as much maintenance to begin with. So it should be that's a manpower issue and training issue. It's not a showstopper by any stretch of the imagination.
I just want to say that I think regardless of any of these fundamentals with Tesla, if Jay Powell announces, soft landing achieved, whatever, if market sentiment returns to anything like 2020, 2021, Tesla's going to fly. They'll be back up around 300. Whenever that happens, if the market ever returns to that bull market we had in 2021.
Yeah, he said they don't have a demand issue, and that the recession would probably make things cheaper for him to get parts.
Yeah, he said it was it's a labor and cost of parts. Sorry to jump in. Go ahead.
Yeah, he expects the materials to get cheaper because there's some deflation in material prices, And then the other thing that I think was very interesting that we should pay attention to is that lately people have been talking that Tesla is no longer a technology company, that they're a car company just like everyone else. And he said that he's looking at cars as robots on wheels, and he equated them to the humanoid robot that they're making as well, which is one of the best ones that exists in the industry right now. And so I think he's repositioning Tesla to be a technology company again when he said that, because he also said that there's some products that they can talk about that are in the pipeline that are very exciting and they're exciting things to come. So he's trying to reposition Tesla as a technology company instead of what the market's been saying, that, oh, they're just another car company, they're going to have to face the reality. And I agree with him. I mean, if they're doing humanoids, they're doing all this other technology stuff, it does position them more as a technology company rather than a traditional car company.
Yeah, I just learned that he was like co-founder of the company that started Chat GPT too. So I was like surprised to learn that. But yeah, he's all AI, and he's got that Dojo supercomputer. I don't. He mixes that with Twitter, man. He might be able to really control how people think. It's kind of scary.
But if it is a tech company and you're supposed to be valuing it on future earnings and the future of growth, then wouldn't those who feel a recession is coming not want to be in a company dependent on growth, since a recession would not play well towards growth companies and often is very bad for growth stocks?
Generally, but like EV is a growth sector that's going to grow through the recession, right? Like solar.
Is it though? If spending and stuff is down, if people can't afford to add solar panels, if governments don't have the push to upgrade a solar infrastructure because just recessionary reasons, is solar going to grow?
The recession isn't
Yeah, it's gonna through this recession. Yeah.
the recession isn't going to impact Tesla for these reasons. The demand that they're forecasting would have to take a significant correction to the point where Tesla would have to come back out and offer guidance and say, hey, all the demand that we saw in January is actually getting canceled. We're having people cancel our orders. And I think most of the economic reports are saying like it's the first 6 months where they expect decreased economic activity as supply chain issues decrease and they kind of reset production. And then going out of the first 6 months, we're going to see a normal return to economic activity. So I think it's just we're kind of in this bottleneck where we're coming from a really bad year in terms of year over year returns, supply chain issues, lack of demand, and then obviously we're coming into a consumer spending and credit crisis. But I think 6 months out, they'll be delivering a lot of the demand that they're getting through production right now.
So what I'm saying is, in general, for a growth company heading into a recession, they get revalued because they're often valued several years out included, and when a recession comes, people don't value them that way because it's a recession and they don't think that it's going to maintain that. So all I'm saying is, if right now you think it's valued as a growth company where people are looking 4 or 5 years down the line and allowing that to be priced in to today's stock price, if a recession comes, they're not going to do that. And growth companies just in general see adjustments in their overall valuation based on that.
Yeah, and that'll broadly affect everything, right? I mean, if there's a recession, it's going to hit everything. But there's a lot of tailwinds in policy, like the IRA Act and all the countries mandating EVs that are coming into force at the same time. So I don't think it'll affect it as much as any other growth area. There's a lot because there is a lot of tailwinds that are favoring things like solar and EVs at the same time that the recession's hitting. So you might want to balance those two out.
And by the way, I'm not saying these things will happen. I'm just putting it out there so that people can be smarter investors as they make their positions, hopefully. Yes. Or who knows? Maybe I'm wrong and it's like my spot
No, that
calls
makes sense.
and I'm losing
it makes
money.
Total sense.
So it looks like we are going to get or maybe not looks like, but I feel like we're going to get a nice flat SPY day, and it's going to make everyone grumpy again. So we got that going for us, guys. Consistency is key.
Just jam into this sweet elevator music.
This is actually an original creation of opinions called "Music is Unpopular."
Oh,
Anyone
that
holding on to their Tesla calls still?
Here, I thought someone was playing Laser Suit Larry.
I'm not holding on to Tesla, but I'm holding on to ARK. Let's go, Kathy.
Nice. I feel silly because I started trading options a few days ago, and I definitely got lucky on Tesla, and I couldn't sell it fast enough on my Robinhood app this morning when it was up at like $7, I guess, for me, and I got in at like $2.40.
The bid-ask spread is a cruel mistress.
So now I'm playing the waiting game because I'm like, fuck it. That's what all of us degenerates do anyways, right? No.
I mean, if you're still up, you can sell it.
I'm still up. I'm
also
being a little greedy.
Keep in mind the price you see at 9:30 when markets open often does not reflect a real option price. That's just like bullshit because the prices haven't been set properly.
Oh, because it's getting closer to expiration. Right?
And the only bad prophet is no profit. So, do that.
Well
do
said.
whatever
I
you
always
will.
tell my dad, I got a little greedy, and and then I end up, owing somebody money. So
no one ever went bankrupt realizing gains. Just keep that in mind.
Oh, I thought I was going to get lucky with Neo and Rivian. I had some calls that expire Friday, which might have been the dumbest thing I could have done. But once again, I'm new to this. And probably the first 5-10 minutes 2 days ago, I was up like $50 on each. Obviously, should have cashed out, learned the hard way. Now I'm waiting because I'm down, I think, $350 between Rivian and Neo. Calls expiring tomorrow.
Do you see any particular event, especially considering that Tesla has already done their earnings, which is the sympathy company, that would possibly make those calls go up between now and tomorrow? Like, truthfully, because if not, then you should just realize that loss.
Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to be unrealistically hopeful.
Opium, yeah.
There needs to be a reason. If you're holding an option and it's a loser, you need a reason why you think, oh, but it's going to stop being a loser because X. And the reason can't be, well, because I'm down so much that I deserve to break even.
Yeah. I only saw Rivian and Neo doing really good pre-market, but then tanked. So my silly theory was that maybe they'll close where they were and I could recoup maybe $50, $100 of losses, but definitely not come out ahead.
If I were in your position, personally, I'd probably move on because, again, Tesla is who they might have moved with, and they've already spoken, and that move is done.
Enphase has an earnings call coming up, and they've been doing gangbuster sales this quarter. You'll probably see, and they're low right now, so you'll probably see solar go up with that earnings report. It's probably a great time for some solar calls, Enphase calls.
First Solar's having a decent day.
Yeah, I like solar in general over next couple of years or so.
I don't know the guy's name, but somebody from the chat yesterday gave a call for ATNF, and he said it was going to hit $4.25. And I don't know if you guys saw it. Literally hit like over $5 and was up at 1.60 something percent.
What ticker?
ATNF. Not saying it's necessarily a buy now, because I don't even know what I'm talking about. Just somebody had mentioned it yesterday and said it was going to go to 4.25. He said he was like a technical expert, and he had some
yes, the well-known technical expert who can predict the market with ease that hangs out in the WallStreetBet chat in order to let us know what's going on. Very well-known hedge fund managers and advanced analytics individuals who quickly post in the WallStreetBet chat.
It's opinion.
So
That's
he
who
gave
it
that
is.
one, and then he did give Rig. I don't know anything about the company. RIG. $8 call by May 19th. Seems that they could pass that and maybe some money to be made.
Do you work at a cell phone store?
Myself? No.
It's a joke. Okay, good.
I'm not trying to
look how serious I'm being. I'm like, no.
I'm not trying to give you a hard time. Just keep in mind, people can claim whatever credentials they want, and anyone who tells you they can easily predict the market, your follow-up question should be, then why aren't you making billions and living on an island? Why are you here talking to me?
Yeah, open that margin account and go, right?
Just a 1% turn. If you can just pull 1% a day on $100, you'll hit $1 trillion in just 9 years. And that's just 1% a day. So if you really got the market down, you can turn $100 into $1 trillion in less than a decade. Why are you talking to me? You don't even need that much cash.
Oh, Tesla, still holding on. Hopefully I don't regret this.
Yeah, anyone.
So if it's a
go ahead, man.
Just wondering what y'all think. If it's a 25-point hike next week, do y'all think IV is going to go down or what? It's already pretty low.
Isn't the 25 basis point at this point like 90-something% priced in? I feel like that's exactly what the market expects.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, assuming that happens, what do y'all think is going to happen to implied volatility? It's pretty low already compared to the past year. I think usually it goes down after a FOMC meeting, but I might be wrong. I don't know.
I don't have an answer. All I know is if JPOW somehow does 50, it is going to be full drill team 6, and it's going to be hilarious and upsetting at the same time.
I don't think a 50 bips is priced in.
25 is priced in. 50 is not at all. No, we will. Oof, you'll see some real drops if that happens.
Question: do you think the high GDP print today would give them pause? That's the only thing. I mean, it was barely hot from analysts' expectations.
Sorry to interrupt, but SPY just dropped like a rock. I think it's gonna go red in a couple seconds. So, what's going on?
So, as far as the Fed thing, I already said it this morning, but I really think JPOW has one goal, and that is to not be this generation's Volcker and to not do the 70s. And he will raise rates as much as he needs to because he does not want to go down in the textbooks as the dude who stopped too early and completely fucked everything over, even if he
sorry, that's why I disagree with everyone who is like, oh well, you can't believe the Fed because they said inflation was transitory. Okay, but I believe in people's personal vanity. Like he's a vain guy just like any of us. He wants his legacy to be at least decent, and so that's why he's going to make sure he's not the guy who comes before the next Volcker.
Hey, Opinion, I think weren't there some other numbers that were coming out this morning? PCE and something else, or those may have come out and they affect the S&P.
Sorry, I was totally wrong. That was actually tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Yeah, I thought it was Friday.
Okay.
Actually,
So there's no
by the
numbers
way,
coming out today?
no major ones. I think someone said initial jobless claims at 10 o'clock, but those have already been out for about an hour. Yeah, I just wanted to highlight that nobody called me out on the title being wrong. I honestly thought today was Friday, but
Honestly,
glad.
opinion.
Wow, I never noticed.
Truthfully, I can't read, so
You
yeah.
did it. Yeah, you did it last week. You called Thursday, Wednesday. So sorry, it's just not funny anymore.
I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just a little special.
We all belong here. Thank you, opinion.
I mean, to be
You,
fair
you
to
need to
opinion,
We're
stop.
all very special.
to be fair to
Opinion. You need to
calling-
stop. Opinion. You need to stop smoking that grass. All right.
Yeah, all right. Well, sorry. What were the other person saying?
Well, I was going to say, to be fair to opinion, calling Thursday Friday is some of the highest quality comedy you can get out of Canada. So, I mean, I appreciate it.
All right, back to plays.
Still hold on to my Tesla calls.
When are they dated till?
Tomorrow.
So, yeah, no, I mean, SPY just decided to nosedive, so I don't know what came out. I feel like we're going to get news in about 15 to 20 minutes of something that we didn't know about, because isn't that how the market works whenever there's a giant move?
I'm
15
looking.
minutes later, we get to know what's going on.
I know. That's why it's good to have the good news.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any one ticker that's dragging it down. So
I feel like we just had such good pre-market because Tesla and, like you guys said, everything else was boosted. So some people just, cashing out and the market's just being dragged down. But I could definitely see it going back up and actually finishing pretty strong. But we'll see.
But didn't some funny shit happen earlier this week? Like the orders were stopped or something? What was going on earlier?
Yeah, like Nike and McDonald's. I guess there was for the New York Stock Exchange an outage for 10 or 15 minutes.
there were like 70 something halts all at the same time. It's pretty crazy.
So what happened was MOAS was happening, so they took away the buy and sell button for all the stocks to stop it. They can't keep getting away with this.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they literally took the button away, didn't they?
They halted them because it was MOAS, and we were all going to be billionaires with our one AMC share. It was going to sell for $50 billion a share, and it's not right. I don't know why we let them get away with this. Opinion, why did you do that?
Come on,
I did it
opinion.
because I thought it would be funny.
They've already
Thank
made
you
like
for-
Netflix documentaries and shit. Like I'm very surprised that they continue to do this. But I guess when the banks are involved, it's kind of like you can't be fucked with to an extent when you have the banks on your side. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I think the interesting thing is that, at least to my knowledge, all the documentaries that came out actually ended up losing money. There wasn't a tremendous amount of interest in them, and the moment had passed by the time that they got all the information out, finished filming, and wrapped up and published it. So it's quite interesting.
Did they get Brad Pitt to play you? I hadn't seen it yet.
He looks a lot like me, so yeah, they should. That would be a good cast, I think.
So I
maybe
actually
also
heard-
Arnold Schwarzenegger, or sorry, what was that?
I heard Citadel funded suppressing those films because they had the truth and it couldn't be allowed. So it was
Yeah, they did. I saw
so
this.
I heard Citadel did it, and it's okay because I heard Michael Moore is coming out with a film that's going to have all the truths in it, just all of them about the real value of GameStop. So just wait. It's going to be called More Money. It's going to be very good.
Can I ask random if any of you guys day trade for a living? I've been thinking about it as a full-time job. I'll of course find out if that's a really bad decision, but I'm also like very, very much into numbers and analytics, and my background was sales, so it's kind of odd, but I just, I'm wanting to get good at this, you could say.
If you wish to trade for a living, might I strongly suggest you go to university, get some business degrees or some financial degrees, and just join a hedge fund, and you can trade for a living but also have like a paycheck, so you don't have to worry.
I guess my answer would
I'm
be
31
along.
years old now, so sometimes I feel like, not to interrupt you because I want to hear what you have to say, that seems a little far-fetched to go back to school, but I appreciate that. Maybe you're right. Maybe that is what it would take to be great and really get the knowledge. So
Yeah, I would say stop for a second and look at how much money do you think you're going to be trading with, and then think about how much, additional value you could get out of the fact that you're actually actively trading your money versus letting it sit in an ETF. So let's walk through this. Say, for example, you have a 7% return rate on if you were to just invest in SPY, right? So that's what you're expecting to get if you put your money in SPY. And then if you were to trade that money instead, let's say you are so good that you're going to add an extra 2 percentage points to your gains. So do you have enough money that 2 percentage points is going to be greater than whatever salary you would get from a job? And this is assuming that you're good enough to earn those extra 2, 3, 4, however much percentage points if you think you're really good. And so just do the math. I mean, I'm not asking you to share or disclose your portfolio size, but I would think about that first.
yeah, maybe I don't have enough to make it a full-time job. Like I don't mind being open. I don't care. I basically, had an opportunity with a marijuana business in Denver, Colorado, with like rich white people and my old best friend. So I got a very small little finder's fee. So I was able to, get my hands on 30,000, and I've lost some, and then I'm thinking what maybe I can do with it, if anything.
Did you say white people, dude?
Yeah.
Why did you have to tell us they were white, man?
No, it's fine.
Oh, I guess it's funny for me because my best friend that started the business, he's African American, and his business partner is, and they joke around because our old coworkers, they're like 80 years old, just old rich white guys.
African American.
But
So
really
I
cool
would-
group of people, and I'm just wanting to, rather than work for the man, take a chance in investing in myself, whether it be books or school and things, and see what I could do with the. This is the most money I've ever had in my life, around 30,000, and so I just.
In all seriousness, I agree with the other gentleman. I think if you really want to do it, you should really think about, do you actually like doing it? If you do, then go to school and get a job at a hedge fund. Like that's the dream if you want to.
So look at it this way: with your $30,000, you'd have to make an annual return of 100% just to make $30,000, right? Like, what were you making before? Like, what was your annual salary before?
Between like 80 and 100.
Yeah. So with $30,000, chances are you're not going to get close to that what you had before. The best thing to do with $30,000 is invest it in yourself, get some skills in finance and that kind of stuff. And you can easily get $200,000 job with one of these high flying, either venture capital funds or investment firm or a fund manager.
I live in New York City. It's just a little intimidating, I guess, because finance isn't my background. It's sales. I did pretty well at sales, but nothing to write home about. Just good for a single guy, that was always
combine
trying
that sales
to,
with finance, and you're gonna be a rock star.
I didn't go to school for 4 years. I kind of had to start supporting myself at 16, 17. So I'm like, want to make something of my life, rather than just get myself locked in something. So
yeah, you
maybe
need to
just a dream, but I appreciate you guys listening.
Look,
we appreciate you coming up here and being vulnerable, because like the other people said, though, just to set your expectations, getting into hedge funds and stuff, it's a lot of work. If you're able to secure internships in school, if you're not, then you might need to go off and do further education like CFA or something, level 1 CFA, before you can break in. r/financial careers is a really good subreddit if you want to learn more. And up until recently, we had a careers section in the Discord if you want to check that out. So lots of good places. I would do a lot of research on what careers are in finance before diving in. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
I
we
used
used
to
to
start the
hiring and
research.
firing of reps. You could go become a registered rep. You don't necessarily need a degree. You can go get someone to sponsor you for your 6 or your Series 7. That's also another way to learn, even though it may be a crappy career for a year or two. Get them to pay for it as well. That's a easy way without having to go back to school, if you will. It won't give you the exact expertise of a CFA or a CFP, but we've also talked about in this sub, and we also know that sometimes chickens can pick better portfolios. So going to school for another 4 or 6 years doesn't always add up.
Yeah, fair enough. And look, if he said that he's good at sales, then PWM or private wealth management is probably the way for him to go, right? If you can sell, that's the cushiest job you'll ever find. You find enough people that are, high net worth or ultra high net worth and who you convince to let them manage that you can manage their money for them. Take a small fee, uh, and you're set. You're working very few hours a week. That being said, it's extremely hard to get those first few clients to build that book. It's not easy, and you're really hitting the pavement. And it is, I think, at least kind of a little bit of a shrinking field. So that's another option you have available to you. There's lots of different ways or career paths in finance. So all the more
If you're
power
gonna
to you.
go
I
into
think.
your if you're gonna go into your own private wealth management company, just think about the fact that you're gonna be a 30-year-old kid sitting in front of 60 and 50-year-old people trying to tell them to, give them all your money. So you would want to hire a professional trader to do the actual trading of the book and have him be able to go meet with the people as well, so that you have some type of seniority of a guy who's been trading for the same amount of time that you've been alive.
I mean, you
You
could
don't
also just
necessarily.
apply to like a Vanguard or one of those mutual funds just as part of their sales team, right? If you've got a lot of experience in sales and that's your thing, you just do that. Just see if Vanguard's hiring for that, and you can just convince people to go get a mutual fund at Vanguard.
And a
Do that
lot of
very
those
well.
are remote jobs. Sorry, I agree with you, but they are. You can do a call center job, if you will.
Funny that you said that, because I just they let me go at the Meadowlands racetrack in New Jersey, and that was the job. Whoever had asked me, like, what were you making, like 80, 100,000, and I just kind of got let go the last couple months, and I'm looking for remote work. And next month they raised my apartment $1,400. I just found out 2 weeks ago. I live in New York City. I got one of those good COVID deals, you could say, for 2,100. My friends all hated me for it. And now I just found out $1,400 more next month. So I might even have to move to Florida and live with my dad. That's how fast my life changes. So, so I'm thinking, something remote, and obviously would love to make 80 or 100,000. But obviously, if you don't have a job, even 30, 40, 50 is nice. It's just, I probably, can't stay here in New York City. And that's a little disheartening after 2.5 years, but this is something.
You can always live in a van down by the river.
Right. That is
I
always
get that
the last
one.
resort. That's always the last resort. Thank you for that.
Seriously though, you do you and you make your own best choices, but just remember, a lot of people in 2020, 2021 said that they were gonna go full-time trading and got blown up, and that was in the middle of the Fed printing free money and probably the greatest bull market we might ever see in our lives, and they couldn't do it. And now we're heading into what's probably going to be more of a bear market. Man, I don't know if I'd want to put my money on the line on that.
Right.
Not
Versus
for a
having a
living.
job and maybe doing what some of you guys do, maybe, and kind of spend a couple hours here and there doing this. That probably would be more ideal. Yeah.
Or just become a Wall Street Bet mod. Opinion makes like a couple million a month. He just doesn't tell anyone about it. In karma, that is. Not in dollars, in karma.
That's it.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, because I've only been on here maybe 100 times, whatever it is, and I've heard a few of the voices every single time. So I kind of have figured out, like, okay, this person takes this very seriously. Okay, this person is hopping on every now and then. And so it's interesting.
Just know I'm a moron, so don't follow my plays, and that's probably a good start for any investor.
Is it a mod? You called a mod, right? He normally starts the chat. He wasn't here today, was he? Is it John Hardy? That's like a name I'm familiar with.
Erection?
Hardy or something, maybe?
Yeah, Hardy Erection.
I typically start the chat. Actually, I've started the chats almost every single day.
Yeah, you're the person that I recognize the most, along with, I think it was maybe Hardy or something along the lines of that.
Yeah, Hardy Erection. He's not. He's not here today. People rotate in and out whenever they feel
Hardy
like.
and Loose.
Nice.
Can't forget Simple.
You guys are
We've got
forgetting
quite
started in November.
We've got quite a cast of characters, and I think we're pretty lucky that big enough to attract some pretty interesting folk. I mean, Skull, Desmond, Human Genome, who is here? Nope, he's not here. Tons of people. Reptile for whenever you want to talk uranium.
Is journalist permabanned again?
Yeah, he just like cannot last unbanned.
I feel. All right, I'm gonna say it. He actually knows what he's talking about, and I would love to get to pick his brain and hear his plays and how he researches and stuff. I would love to learn things from him and like have him do a talk. If he could just not spend the first 30 minutes telling me how much of a piece of shit I am and how I don't deserve to hear his plays and pick his brain and learn about the things that he knows. If you could just cut that part of the TED Talk out, I would listen to hours of that man.
You know, you could just be the first person to arrive in this chat and automatically know you're talking about journalists.
I'm sure whatever you said was really smart, but I couldn't understand it.
I've enjoyed my time here. I've only been on this call a little bit, for like a month now, but still haven't bought options, full disclosure, but I'm thinking about doing it, and you guys have definitely dissuaded me. Even with my experience, I usually just own shares, some leveraged ETFs, but I've never actually pulled the trigger on my first options play, so there's a little something about me.
I mean, I have a few.
Well,
leaks.
I mean, oh yeah, leaps are good, really good. And now, I mean, now's not a bad time. VIX is pretty low, so IB is not going to kill you.
Are there certain options?
If you want to dip your feet into options and you hold shares, the best way to do it is to do what are called covered calls. It's relatively low risk, and you can read up on it, or we can talk about it if you're interested at some point. But that's like a low risk way of getting into options.
When I used to supervise reps, I mean, we had Series 7. I had my 7 and 24, so that was the only thing we would allow them to do. So I know that's the least riskiest. So yeah, more to come on that, because I think I may actually get my settlement payment. So I will have a little bit of money, which I can play with. So more to come on that.
Cover calls are great if you are very bullish long term on a position, but you don't anticipate any near term movements to just slowly lower your cost.
Do they compare to leaps?
Do cover calls compare to? So all a cover call is you're just taking the other side of the option. So like most people are used to the notion of I buy an option for like 50 cents, and if the company goes up, I make money, right? You're just taking the other side. You're saying, all right, I'm selling you the right to buy my shares. You're going to pay me those $50, and if it goes above that price, then you got to pay me for my shares. That's all you're doing. You're just playing the market maker side.
No, I appreciate that. And the way I know, I had some of my reps always try to talk me into it, even when I was just getting into the stock market, individual stocks. They were like, it's like a super dividend. And I'm like, do you seriously say this to clients? Like, don't tell me you say this to clients. But yeah, they would literally call it like a super dividend because, yeah, it pumps up your gains.
It is. The one downside is you need to be prepared to lose that position, because at some point it will hit that price and you'll lose it. And that can be painful if you get like a 25% return, but the stock is up like 50, 60%. That can be annoying to know that you capture upside.
If it's something like I've held for 10 years plus, you're like, oh God.
Well, it is a super dividend. I mean, that's exactly what it is that you got these shares. And like I do it with Ford all the time, because Ford doesn't really skyrocket or anything too much. It does sometimes. And like I'll sell covered calls on the Ford shares, and then just collect the premium on that, and you're getting paid a little bit of money. A couple of times the shares have been called away, but you can always count on stocks going up and down. So I just, once the shares get called away, I sell a cash secured put and get the shares back and start all over again. Wash, rinse, and repeat.
Thanks, everyone, and definitely I'll have more questions coming up. So I clearly have opinions about which way the market's going to go, or at least the macro stuff, whether I'm right or wrong. I may just inverse myself. I've made that joke with friends.
We're always happy to help, but just, again, keep in mind, we're random strangers on the internet. We might not be nearly as smart as I will be the first to say. Rad's a pretty dumb dude. If it's not about uranium, I probably don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, definitely take everything with a grain of salt. Thank you. How's that?
Come on, Tesla. I want to cash out of these calls. First option I'll actually profit from.
So wouldn't you want to sell that if they end tomorrow? It's already, it was up, what is much, 12, 13% today. Now it's like 8 or 9.
Yeah, and I only bought one contract.
So you can't
155, 155 strike price for tomorrow. Yeah.
To me, I would want to sell it just from everything I've heard. And yeah,
I can't believe I saw this morning as soon as it opened up, and it was maybe like, $7 or whatever, and I couldn't even sell it fast enough.
That's not a real price, though. Understand, what you're seeing is a reflection of the bid-ask spread because the market hasn't adjusted to what the actual price is. So it's really just like randomly throwing up a number. Don't trust the 930 prices and be like, oh man, I could have sold for 7. No, that didn't actually
so
exist.
I shouldn't feel like as a new options trade that I failed and never wait for it to maybe get to that again.
Yeah, it didn't exist. It's just consider it a glitch. It wasn't real. It was just the market adjusting for open.
Okay.
And you'll see that in a lot of positions. I've had like leap positions that are like, oh, the stock's up a penny, but this position is actually up 10,000% this morning. And I'm like, no, and you'll check the bid ask and it'll be like a $500 gap. And you're like, yeah, this is just bullshit because you haven't adjusted.
Makes me feel a little better. Thank you. I guess 10:20 a.m. when it was at 585 was a good time to sell.
Don't think about what it was. Think about what it is. And if you think there's any reason it's going to go up, probably not. It's probably time to say goodbye. Got to treat them like they're your ex sometimes.
Yeah, that's what
I hold on to these harder than the X's.
Sorry, no, I'm kidding.
I'm telling you, it will help you to take that mindset of treating them like your ex. It's time to move on. We're done. It's gone. I don't need to see it no more. We'll save a lot of people a lot of pain.
So oil has been steadily going up for the past few weeks. You guys think that'll keep happening or maybe go back down? China reopening, go burr.
I think China reopening is going to be bullish for a lot of commodities, oil in particular. Will have that bullish upside because of the China reopen. And oil as a sector has a pretty good future because it's still in demand. It's incredibly underinvested because nobody liked it. And despite the global desire to use less of it, there's way too many internal combustion engines on the road today to just pivot off oil the way people have almost been pretending like we're going to. And that's kind of made this oil market right now.
Do you think that might contribute to headline inflation ticking back up?
Maybe. I don't. My knowledge of oil, I don't try to correlate it with inflationary stuff. I just correlate it with what I know about the oil sector as far as if the oil price will move.
I mean, gas prices have gone up, so there is some of that showing, but I don't think it's a runaway thing, if you will. Nowhere what we saw during the you look at the prices, but it is going up again.
I will say I like oil a lot more than natural gas, which I know is going to be unpopular because a lot of people like nat gas. But yeah.
I disagree with that sentiment on oil. I've noticed anecdotally, about a month ago, I was buying gas at Costco for $2.59. Last time I bought it was $2.99. That's a 40% increase, which is like a 20%, 40-cent increase, which is like a 20% increase in the price of gas. The U.S. doesn't have any more petroleum left, or enough petroleum left in the petroleum reserves, so they're not going to be able to release any more from that. And they're actually going to have to be in a position where they have to restock the petroleum reserves. And then you got Russia just waiting for the ground to freeze in the Ukraine and that part of the world so that they can do the full invasion of Ukraine later on in the winter. And I think there's a lot of upward momentum and possibility for oil to move a lot higher.
Hey, did I see like a refinery outage affecting gas prices?
Hey, professional, can you mute your mic when you're not talking like all the rest of us? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for telling me. I didn't notice.
So yeah, human genome. I agree with what you're saying. I mean, it just seems like oil's been too low for too long now. It's got to go back up with China reopening.
Something to keep in mind with oil, the all-in incentive price is somewhere around $65 to $70 a barrel. For those not aware of what an all-in incentive price is, that's the price that it would need to be at in order to meet yearly global demand. And so in order to get like enough production online so that it made enough oil, that we had enough oil for the year's needs. So it's above that price by a little bit. So always keep in mind, these commodities will fluctuate, but when they get above those prices, they can still go up, but they tend to revert and stay around the all-in sustaining costs for a more long-term, healthier market.
Hey, if the war were to end, like Putin were to die, like news came out that he died, what would be like the fast trades that we could make to make money right away? I assume you'd want to be first and fast if you got that news.
First of all, we would be late to that news because that's how it is. But if in theory you found out that a peace treaty was signed, most commodities you'd want to go short on because Russia is very much a big commodity exporter, and the assumption would be that they're just going to start selling all that stuff back out to everyone. But not so simple. So probably it would take a short-term hit, but I don't know that it would necessarily work that way where Russia would just be selling stuff to everyone again.
And wheat, they had something to do with wheat too, right?
Yeah, that's the fertilizer and the excuse me, the cost of food. So yeah, all that potash that they make, we couldn't get it. So it would be very disinflationary, I would say, overall.
If you saw the news headline like literally the moment it came out, like, oh, Putin's dead, maybe just buy zero date spy calls, because probably everyone is gonna just jump on that.
Yeah, it would end like some chances for this recession, right? I mean, it would pull us out of that a little bit.
No, I gotta say, I think it's wrong what people think that like, oh, this is just Putin and he's the one who's doing all this, and if he's just gone, then like the Russians are gonna try to stop the war. No, like all the oligarchs are all like wanting this like invasion. Like they're all in favor of it. They all want to reconquer the former Russian Empire. So
Why
I
would they
mean,
want to
Megan,
reconquer it when it's literally ruined all their businesses?
They don't want to fall from a third
because
story window.
because you have to look at how the Russians think. There's this book, I forget the author. I can look it up if you want, but basically, all the political insiders of Russia, they want this to happen. Like they want to reconquer fucking Mongolia and Manchuria and Finland. Like not that it's really going to happen, but that's what they want.
Yeah, there's like another name for oligarchs, right? Like soligarchs or something they call them.
And you know what? You were right too about I think so, but I think you were right about the agriculture too. But I think most of Russia's stuff stays within their boundaries, but they have lost some of their exports. And Ukraine was stopped for a while, but some of the deals have let them export their grain safely. So, sorry, I didn't want to completely say that wasn't true. I was just thinking that out a little bit more.
But something that's been happening a lot with the Russian market in particular, the commodity market, is you're seeing a very strong bifurcation of the market where Western countries are now preferencing supplying from Western sources, and Russia is supplying to Eastern sources, like your China's, your India's, countries like that. But most Western nations are very hesitant, and I think it might continue even after the war ends. They might be hesitant just on the notion of, do I want to rely on Russia for natural gas if they could go crazy and invade somebody and now I'm stuck again with another Nord Stream 2 situation? Or would I rather pay a little more to find that from someone who I trust?
Yeah, a larger policy increase, if you will, or invading increase. Risk that is. Geopolitical risk.
Good morning from the desert. I would like to circle back to the EVs you guys were talking about earlier, the market. I don't know if everybody noticed that Ideanomics completed the acquisition of Via Motors. Today it was announced they do fleet vehicles that, combined with, you guys were talking about charging. Do some research on this Ideanomics. I think it's a good bargain right now. Again, I talked about this, but they actually set a record. They charged a Class 8 truck in like 15 minutes wirelessly. And that's what they're focusing on, is wireless charging for fleet vehicles, commercial vehicles, municipal vehicles like buses. So that's just my 2 cents. I've been watching them and kind of I'm learning about buying calls and puts. I'm hoping to buy some call contracts for them, but they're a bargain right now. They're at like under 20 cents, and I suspect with this announcement, they're going to start making some more headway and get above $1 to stay on the exchange. Anyway, thanks for listening.
What's that ticker?
IDEX, Ideanomics.
Thank you.
So do they have do they have the ability to do this, or are they working on the ability to do this?
They actually have the ability. They tested it. They announced that it was success. They charged, like I said, a Class 8 truck in like 15 minutes. There's an article on it. And then with the purchase of, they've been buying a lot of EV throughout Europe, and now they're in the Japanese market with the electric motorcycle. But they were trying to get Via Motors since, I think, September of last year. And so now they've made the acquisition. I guess you could say all the pieces of the puzzle are complete now, that they have the charging technology and they have the vehicles to put them in. My understanding, Via is like compartmental type vehicle where you can buy the base and put whatever you want on top of it. Box truck, flatbed, transport. You could even make like a limo service type truck out of it.
Thanks for sharing.
A side note, I miss Journalist. He was hilarious to listen to.
Was he though? Was he really?
The 45 seconds till I have to go stuff was I found that. I've said that a lot, but I love that. Only got 45 seconds left to insult you. Oh, thank you.
I'm very busy right now, so I'm going to get to the point by first talking about something completely irrelevant.
Only as long as there's at least 700 of us in here.
Guys, he has 300 followers. I mean, that's a lot. 300 people who follow.
Says you're welcome, basically, right? You're welcome. I'm here.
Unfortunately, most of those people following him are the same ones that says, "I will kill you."
No, dude was smart. I'm never going to take that from him. A lot of his calls went up a lot. It's just, I know I didn't listen to him because there was a 30-minute intro that I could not get through.
The dude was the living embodiment of the stupid like social media ads of the guy talking about how he hated his job and now he makes all this money and gets to travel the world, and 6 minutes later he's going to give you the link for the app you need to download so you can do it too. Without actually telling you what it is.
I have a question about one of the tickers journalists talked about, Kazoo. And does anybody know if in Europe, like here in the U.S., used car vehicle sales always go up around tax time? And is there such a thing as a refund tax time in Europe?
Yeah, when you go to the hospital and get free healthcare.
Europe horse, do you guys get normal tax returns on your taxes? Or are your taxes actually calculated right, so you usually pay what you owe on your checks? Any Euro friends who can tell us? Opinion, what's it like in Canada? Big tax returns or not so much?
For me, anyways, it's been very accurate. I rarely have tax refunds.
Hey, guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Hey, how you doing? First time speaker, long time listener. Because you guys started talking about the EVs, and somebody else mentioned beforehand about the military adopting nuclear generators. I just wanted to bring 2 points real quick. I'm currently working for I can't say which company it is, but it's an alarm company. It's very big and it's blue. It has a blue logo. And you make it up, whatever you can think of. But
is the name of the company synonymous with a sound that a bell makes?
No. It has like the twin brothers from HGTV are advertising it all the time.
Those guys.
Yeah.
So a friendly story.
Right.
I like it. Totally hypothetical and made up. What's the story?
Absolutely made up. I'm a technician for them, so I drive a lot. And currently right now they are just giving us pretty much fleet cars to fuel up the cars. However, starting next month, they will roll out one electric truck to each office, just like a startup, and see if it's cheaper for the company to run electric vehicles for the technicians. And instead of giving them fleet cards for gas, they will actually reimburse part of the electric bill on the technicians' homes. So we can charge the truck at home and then run it around to pretty much do our jobs. Currently, I'm driving around 150 to 200 miles every day. So that's plenty. If the truck has like a capacity, let's say 300 miles, that's plenty for an electric truck to be driven around town.
So what I'm hearing is get a long extension cord to your neighbor's outside outlet and then charge it off of his, and then you can just bank the rebate they give you for your electric bill.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And then you can make up money like that and invest it in stock options. But that's pretty much what's happening starting next month. Most likely
Whose truck are they giving you? Whose truck are they giving you?
They haven't said that yet, but I can get back to you guys because I asked that.
Please do.
Right now we're running Ford.
Maybe
The whole
Rivian?
It might be. I'm not sure. I don't have
Oh,
the
the Ford
details.
Ford Lightning.
No, currently we're driving the little Ford Transits, and they're a piece of crap.
Let us
Yeah,
know when
definitely
you ask them and they actually tell you what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let us know.
If they tell you what it is, that would be.
Yeah, because I'm
well,
trying
rephrase in this hypothetical story that you're coming up with.
Absolutely. I'll try to be the test bunny because I asked my manager if I can be the driver, the test driver for that specific vehicle when it shows up, and he agreed to it. So I'm hoping that I'll be the test bunny so I can see how many miles it runs, what type it is, and all that. And then the second point I was bringing about somebody earlier said something about a company which will start working with the military for nuclear generators. I actually work in the National Guard, and my job there is power production with specifically generators. They will not adopt nuclear power even for new bases, especially for new bases, because I work on a base where we're a combat communication unit, and what we do is we literally they drop us down from a plane in a desert or in somewhere where there's nothing, and we start up the base. They will never start up the base with a nuclear generator because first it's so expensive, and second it's the right now currently the small generators we work on, they're about 60 kilowatts. And they're used for that specific purpose, and they work on diesel. And then the new generators, which are running 4,160 volts, which is the big boys, they also work on diesel, and they just released a new one, which the military is about to adopt and buy. And that's going to be the workhorse for established bases, which are already up and running, and they just need a big generator in case of a emergency or like a blackout. They're ran by Cummins, so that's it.
Thanks for the stories.
All right, take it as you will. Whenever I get the vehicle, I will get back to you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
Check. You guys hear me?
You are
If
very,
you get
very
a bit
faint.
closer to your mic, yeah,
Check 1 2 on that.
a little bit better.
Laptop. Just have a link information for. I'm a Marine Corps vet, and I was looking up information. Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works, and if I put this is my first time listening, first time talking. I see down here it says open comments. If I click on that, will this share with anybody? Or they have to just go to the thing here. The
Yeah, it'll go to the
Alright.
chat. We'll see it, and then you tell
Alright,
us about it and say you left a link.
Okay, so I just left the link. But basically, if you look at this, it's aviation. I was in avionics, but Aviation Week is the website. Defense, Space, Lockheed, Skunk Works building bigger fusion reactor. To go along, I was just looking up information about. He's talking about forward operating bases where they drop down, begin building the 4 wall berms. But you're only going to see those probably in the deep underground military bases that have been there since the 40s and 60s. But that's all I had was just to share the information because those guys are always doing something fun. And I'm enjoying learning more by being here. So thank you.
Sorry, I just stepped away for a second, but yeah, thank you. I mean, it's nice to see all new faces, even a year and a half into this thing.
Same. Semper Fi, guys. Have a great day.
You as well. Actually, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to wrap up for the day. It's been a touch over 3 hours, and listeners are dwindling down, so that's a pretty good sign that it's time to wrap up. Thank you so much for all the plays that we heard today, and we did talk a lot about economic activity and earnings, so we'll be sure to talk about those again tomorrow, and hopefully some new plays. So with how many hours now? About 4.5 hours left in the trading day, 4.25 hours left in the trading day. Don't lose too much money, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you guys so much.
Good luck.
And thank you to all the veterans for your service.